Oh, hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. What is going on? Can you all hear me? Can you all see me? Anybody there? Press Y in the chat if you can actually hear me. No, there's nobody there. Hello, wonderful. Geez, Alex has aged a lot. Thanks, Steve. Good Lord, Christ Almighty. Where is Alex? Too bad. I'm here to disappoint you. I'm here to, as I've done for pretty much every relationship I've ever been in. Let's see. Hello. So, as you can probably tell, Alex is not here right now. He's having computer difficulties, which is weird because Rod's able to get in, I'm able to get in, and yeah. So I'm here to ultimately talk to you and answer your questions until Alex is able to log in.
Also, Rod and Noah are here.
Oh, yeah. Also, Rod and Noah are here. So if you see people walking across the camera, this is Noah. If you've ever watched a Copy That video, he's edited it.
I used to put my face in the videos more, so maybe people don't actually know what I look like.
Well, I mean, you were in the mega course.
That's true.
You were not in the most recent ones, but we'll find more ways to include you. Let's see. You thought it was Alex, but it was Sean all along. Let's see. That's amazing. I hope it's really, really good. Here, it makes sense for us to do this. Light. Let there be light. Let's see. Thank you. I love my e-girl setup too. I appreciate that. Yes, I wrote that. I was proud of that. I'm glad that I wrote that. It was something that had to be said. And for those of you who are not on our email list, I wrote a value email basically saying is Copy That legit? For real, are you going to get from our paid stuff what you're expecting? And the answer that I gave is the answer we always give, which is it depends. It depends on what your expectations are. It depends on what you are hoping to get going into our paid stuff. And I was just honest. I showed some bad reviews. I showed for real, some people that didn't get a whole lot out of what we had to offer. And, to them, no, Copy That is not legit. We try, but, I'm not going to ever be the type of person to be we can be everything to everyone. We're guaranteed to help you make a gazillion dollars as a copywriter. Some people, your mileage will vary with this career. And so we just try to be as honest as possible. Now, to answer that question, what qualities do you see in those that get results? I've talked about this a little bit before. It comes down to grit, tenacity. The only common trait between everybody who's ever succeeded is the fact that they didn't give up along the way to success. But that doesn't mean that everybody who tries will succeed. You have to hold those two contradictory things in your brain at the same time. It's difficult. Another thing too is if we're talking about copywriting, you have to have very, pretty fluent English prose. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be simple, legible, easy to understand. You should be a voracious and curious consumer of information. Those are the most common traits, the most common qualities that I see in people that are successful. They read widely. They're not just interested in copy and marketing. They're interested in all facets of human psychology and business and fiction and poetry and things like that. The most successful copywriters I know are all everyman, Renaissance men, that they're into. You can have a conversation with them about finance, about art, pretty much about anything. So yeah, those are the common traits and qualities I see in people succeed. What the fuck, dude? Come for the Alex, stay for the Sean. So we're going to get Sean and Rod instead of Alex. Rod might jump in. Rod can jump in at any time. He's sitting literally right there. I don't know what he's doing. Oh, hi.
Hello. You guys can see Sean.
Hi.
Double Sean.
It's double Sean all the way across the sky. I'm hoping that Alex comes in and takes over. He's just texted and wrote, "Nothing is working." You know what I think it is? I think it's because he's trying to try that format where he goes live at 11 instead of 3. The moment in any business, in anything, if you fuck with a working thing, if you fuck with something that works, it breaks. The moment that you try something new. So, should I learn how to write good copy through work with clients or practice? I think you should do both. I don't think that that's a mutually exclusive thing. I think the fact of the matter is that you probably will not be able to get good clients unless you practice your copy. And I don't think you're going to be able to keep those clients if you don't get better writing for those clients. So, both are true. Yes, that is definitely the case. Appreciate you. No amount of talent beats obsession. I don't know. I've known some pretty dumb motherfuckers who are pretty obsessed and end up nowhere in their life and career. So there's that. What do you think about a copywriter using his copy skills to lead, generate, and follow up to get a copywriting client, especially if he is clear of his niche? Not really sure I understand this question fully. I think, Rod, what do you think he's trying to ask you? Are you is he talking about getting inbound leads?
Yeah. So I think they're asking can you use your copywriting skills to do lead gen and then use the lead gen to get your own clients?
Yeah, of course. And the most common thing that you see in that is the sort of agencies and the copywriters who have a Calendly set up on a website. Typically that website is just a one-page website that sells their services or themselves, explains the value proposition of working with them, has a link to a portfolio or, display of some pieces, et cetera, et cetera. But, very simply, I found that inbound works best for the copywriters who, one, have a pretty hefty stack of credibility behind them, and two, have already started establishing, I'm a little the word personal brand or the phrase personal brand gives me hives. I'm very allergic to that phrase because I think it's fucking stupid. But at the same time, you do have to kind of be out there and relatively well known in order for inbound to work well for you. And so whatever form that takes is something that you'll have to negotiate. Studying English language at the university for the moment. Do you think this could come as an advantage to learning copywriting on the side as well? Yes, absolutely. Again, I've told this story a million freaking times. The most successful copywriter, and I'm not talking about somebody who started in copywriting and then got into offer ownership and agency work and stuff like that. I mean, this dude chose to write copy after a few years of fucking around, and then kept writing copy and still writes copy to this day. And makes millions, and I'm talking actual 7-figure millions of dollars per year. He is, by the numbers, the best back-end copywriter possibly to have ever lived. English is his third language. He's Brazilian. He's brilliant. He's jacked. He has a family. He's super cool, really nice, but also nice in the kind sort of way. He'll give you a lot of tough love and sort of give you shit kind of way. His name is Evaldo. He has a book. It's called The 16-Word Sales Letter. And I think that sales letter format works pretty reasonably well sometimes. But what you're doing, keep doing it. Again, use it to your advantage, because one of the things that works to Evaldo's advantage is the fact that because he writes English as his third language, he writes very simply. That doesn't mean that the ideas are not complex, but the presentation has to be simple. And that is key for good copy. It's complicated ideas expressed simply. So it actually, being an ESL learner, having English as your second language is actually a leg up for that over somebody like Rod and I, who spent years in academia and had to learn how to write simply. Rod can attest.
I can attest. Also, I do have all the critiques up, so if you want to.
Okay. Yeah. I'll answer a few more questions. We'll get caught up, and then maybe I'll tag you in.
Yeah.
Let's see. In order to be successful, not necessarily massively, how much do you need to know? I'm starting out, and every day it seems there is so much stuff to know. I think that you need to know the basics of persuasion. I think you need to know how to take a project, whatever project it may be, from like conception and research all the way to like finish, execution, and completion. And those are all different skills, by the way. I think that what matters more is your ability and your capacity to learn. Like you've learned how to learn more so than you have like this huge repository of skills and knowledge. Oh my God, it's the fucking Three Caballeros. That's a
Hello.
reference.
Guys, I was so ready.
I can't even hear you.
Fuck me. I can't even.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. How's
Can you hear
your I guess afternoon been?
I was so ready to come on today and be like, fucking, all right, guys, this is Whetstone Wednesday. Here's how it works. We're going to review your copy. Let's get into it. And then my computer reset. And then I come on and it just fucking all crashed. To get to this point, I had to create a new StreamYard account with another email through an incognito tab, then switch account and log in with the copy that. That's the only way I could get on for some reason. I've still got the other one up and it won't refresh. I don't know. I literally don't know.
I just like neither of us had a single issue. How? How did it happen?
It's the English being punished for being so far away.
No, it's the English being punished for their 19th century sins.
Oh, yeah. No hard feelings, everyone. All right. I think I should be good. If it collapses again to the audience, apologies for that. But you guys need to go and do stuff.
Yeah, I'm so swamped today with stuff that I need to work on, and Rod and Noah are going to be filming all day, and it's a busy day. However, Rod, do you want to work on your stuff, or do you want to hop on stream with Alex and review some copy together?
We can double team it.
Alex, what do you think?
I'm more than happy for anyone to stay on.
How do I maintain attention span while writing a 60-page sales letter? Well, it's kind of fucking hard when Alex's computers crash and I have to jump in to save the day to let everybody know, no, don't go away. Like, we are going to actually stream.
Sorry, I sent a YouTube comment. I assume everyone read that and was very attentive to it. All right, I'm good. I've got the copy up. I'm ready to go.
Okay, so I'm going to get off of StreamYard. I'm going to hook up Rod's computer to the fancy camera, and then you guys will take it from there.
Beautiful. I will start, so you guys haven't got to wait any longer. All right. So, hello everyone. I'm going to present, and then we're going to get straight into this because enough time has been wasted today. Right. So, welcome to Whetstone Wednesday. If you don't know what this is, we're going to review copy that's submitted by Patreon members down below. If you're not a Patreon member yet, you can click the link in the description and sign up to the Copy Cub tier, where we will be able to review your copy regularly. All right, let's crack into this, and hopefully it doesn't crash. And if it does crash, sorry, there's not much else I can do. All right, so kicking off with a nice Facebook ad, creative by the looks of it. Hey, Alex, this is our product. I remember this one from a few weeks ago. And in the last Whetstone, you suggested that we should test simple creatives to figure out which angle could work and iterate from there. So we have this ad that's doing well as a bottom of funnel ad with 20K spend at about 2 ROAS, but we can't seem to crack top of funnel. We've tested video versions of this, but it doesn't seem to work. Here's some of the ads we've tested. I've got the library up here. Just wondering what's needed to create top funnel ads they can scale for this brand. We recently switched from testing the coverage angle to SPF, sunscreen angle, because we found out the product had little to no coverage and it seems to be doing a little better. Would appreciate your help on this. All right. Well, before this started, and as I was trying to figure out the tech issues, I was going through this ad library. So I can already tell you, and it'd be interesting for anyone watching, at a glance, can you kind of tell me what might be wrong with some of these ads? Now, I know some of these are videos and, I can't click play on all of them, but there's one thing to me that is really obvious as I glance through these that just doesn't quite work. And it actually goes back to that original piece of advice I gave you, which is about testing like simple creatives. Now, when I say a simple creative. I'm not just talking about it being easy to make, like an easy static or an easy video. I'm talking about simple ideas, things that are going to resonate or likely to resonate with the audience because the idea is so easy to understand. I'm not an expert on Korean skincare, okay? I don't really know what CC cream is. I'm not entirely sure what people in the industry really care about. I've done other skin products in the past, of course, but I'm not like an expert. This isn't my day-to-day of researching the skincare industry. But I'm willing to bet that if I spent about an hour researching what primarily women, I imagine, are talking about when it comes to CC cream and problems related to that, I could probably come up with more striking ads than what are currently on here, because I would focus on one very simple thing, which is getting across points that people are already talking about in the market extremely quickly. All right. That comes back to what we call IVOC data. If you've watched our free 22-hour course, then you will know exactly what I mean by IVOC data. That is indirect voice of customer, whereby we are joining the conversation that's already happening in people's heads. What are people talking about in YouTube comments, on Facebook groups and forums, in reviews for other products? What are people complaining about? What do they want? What is it they're looking for when it comes to skincare or CC or Korean products, right? As I scroll through this ad library, and when I pick on a few different kind of ads around here, okay, what I don't see is an immediate call out to what I might care about. Like, I don't see that here. You can start an ad with "this is your warning" and someone spraying something on the face. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad way to grab a little bit of attention, but a much easier way to grab attention is to test simple ideas that are going to resonate. Is it anti-aging? Is it a particular chemical being in the cream? Is it about the ease of application? Is it about the sunscreen, the SPF angle? What is it? I don't see that immediately in any of these. Like, I see tiny text which says sunscreen in very, very, very small letters and a woman putting it on her hand. Nothing there is shouting out to me that this is the idea that I'm going to be looking at and reading about. Remember, Facebook ads live in a vacuum. They live in a vacuum of entertainment, of information, of people sprouting BS ideas, okay? I'm just scrolling through Facebook. That's all I'm doing. If I'm going to have my attention grabbed by something, it better be damn direct and damn in my face and damn obvious that it's something I already care about. As I look at these ads, nothing here really does that. This is the best SPF, okay? When I'm scrolling through, I probably don't have my sound on in videos. 60 to 80% of people do not have sound on in videos in Facebook. So if you're mainly relying on narration to get across your first hook and that point that's going to resonate, then you're already failing. The only thing here is this tiny SPF. The rest is just this random woman who I don't know kind of tilting ahead. Why does that matter to me? And this is what I mean about simple ideas that I spoke about the last time we looked at this, okay? The reason this one is probably doing okay is because the text is a little bit bigger, and the first things that my eyes go to are doesn't sell into lines. Again, I don't know. I'm not an expert in this world, but I'm assuming that's going to make sense to me if I'm interested in these products. For women over 45, so immediately is kind of calling out to the person I am, and then CC cream. Those are big things on this. So that's probably why it's calling out to me, because as I'm scrolling, I see those, they stick in my mind. I'm going to have a look at them. Rod.
Yes.
First of all, do you kind of understand what I'm going with here and what I meant by simple ideas? And then the next thing is, how do you feel about this almost simple ploy for attention? Should more ads and more brands be doing kind of simple shit?
Yes, I hopped in kind of halfway through, so I missed the first half of that. But yes, I understand what you're saying about simple ideas. And generally speaking, I think that, that's a big gap right now in most markets, where if you just need to convey something very simply, very clearly, and I think that that's going to outcompete most of the gimmicky shit these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's so when this person is asking me a question, this is doing well as a bottom of funnel of ad, and someone I think Moise just said this, seems like it's written for a most aware audience. And when we talk about the stages of awareness, if someone is already super aware of what their problem is or what they want or what kind of creams there are out there, then you can be super direct in your ads with them. And that's effectively all this is doing. It's like a CC cream that doesn't set onto lines. Okay, right, great. That's my problem. I'm going to be direct about that problem.
Mhm.
What you don't want to do is rely too heavily on intrigue, which a lot of these are doing right now. You've just said to me that SPF is the big thing, the angle that seems to be doing well. Hopefully that's based on research you've done in the market. But nothing here is grabbing that immediately, apart from these tiny 3 letters on a phone. So I know when we're looking at this, this is full screen, so it looks massive to us. But remember, people are just scrolling on their phone, and all they have to work out that the SPF thing you're going to talk about is 3 tiny letters in the bottom right corner. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, even from a design standpoint, like if you're going to highlight a word in that sentence, if you're going to make like this SPF thing like your USP, then that's what needs to be highlighted. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, my camera just fell out. But
it's all right. We're in the new tech age of copy that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think another thing here, and I don't know if this is like a language thing or what, but like over here in the US, we use SPF as a term for like just the sun protection factor for your like sunscreen or whatever. And so saying that your skin cream has SPF does not sound particularly special or different or anything at all. And so if you are like, obviously this is a thing for a lot of skin creams where people want to make sure that it's going to protect their skin because the sun rays like damage your skin long term. And so if you care about the quality of your skin, you're going to want that as like a trait. But you might need to name it something else or like come up with like another sort of term around it so that people can understand like the unique benefit that this product has over other products. Particularly at top of funnel, like if you just say SPF, it's going to be like, okay, well, yeah, sure. And what? Why would I stop and like watch this video?
Yeah, 100%. So to answer the main question of this copy, this is doing well as bottom of funnel potential, and also bottom of funnel becomes quite difficult. This is a bit of a technical lesson, but bottom of funnel and top of funnel become more difficult to assess in Meta, and they're becoming more and more difficult every day because of how Meta is starting to treat ads, and it's really like not separating them by cold traffic versus warm traffic anymore. It's kind of just pushing all ads out to everyone at high volumes and then seeing which one does best. So I know you may have labeled this a bottom of funnel ad, but you don't know if this is working with the bottom of funnel audience. This might be working with the top of funnel audience potentially, unless you have very, very clear data on that, and you absolutely know that it's only warm traffic. So people who already know your brand that are clicking on this, you're not going to know that for a fact. So don't assume that like, oh yeah, this is working because it's like most aware or something. It may well be a case of this is actually just like the message that cold traffic wants to hear. They want a CC cream that doesn't sell onto lines, So really, when I say testing simple creatives, I want you to analyze that in your own head and what you're actually putting out there. I want you to create like a grid of all the ideas that you could possibly sell this on based on research, based on the IVOC data, and then work out how can we show that we're going to talk about this specific problem or this specific desire within the first couple seconds of the video. And that is like, big text, someone making a very obvious gesture or an action or something to describe the point that you're talking about. So if it is SPF, for example, if you know that sun cream and sun protection is the thing that really matters to these skincare people, I don't know if it is or not, but if it is, then it should be like a video of like the blinding sun and someone doing like that, and then having like cream there with big text that says, like new Korean like SPF whatever cream. Okay, that at least that's not particularly clever, but like that gets across the idea, and with that you're going to be able to see, okay, is this creative worth scaling? Hopefully that makes sense. Anything else to add on that, Rod?
Yeah. I mean, I think even just backing up and like, I could very easily see creative that starts with like that glaring image of the sun, and just the first like VO question is like, ever wonder why Korean women have like such great skin, even though they're exposed to the sun all the time? Bam, that's sort of like your way in. Framing the SPF thing around like a question that people might have or something that's like going to immediately get them engaged is going to be a pretty good way in, even if you aren't interested in doing the work of like coming up with like a new USP or framing for the SPF part itself.
Yeah, agree. So when you're talking about creating new top funnel ads that can scale for this brand, that is the first thing I'd say. Go and do the research, first of all, to what people are talking about. And then how do you get that across? So obviously in the first 1 to 3 seconds of your ad, that is what you're going to be talking about. No fluffy copy, no like, crutch language that takes 3 or 4 seconds to get to that main point. If you're going to talk about SPF, if that's the main thing, you need to talk about that immediately. If you're going to talk about anti-wrinkles, immediately. If you're talking about the fact that it's Korean, immediately. It needs to be things that are obvious, that as I'm scrolling, I see and I go, oh, actually, that is something I might be interested in. It's such a key. And so many brands like really underestimate the power of just being direct quickly. All right, cool. Moving on. Now we have copy of flower arrangement sales page. Interesting. Can't say I've ever partaked or sold flower arranging courses before, so this is fun. Context: a sales page for an online ikebana. Oh man, you're gonna read. I'm gonna get you to read the copy of this, Rod, because you know Japanese. Japanese flower arrangement course teaching beginners to master the art in 30 days. The audience is women 25 to 50 who are interested in learning ikebana as a creative hobby or potential side business. Many are complete beginners and typically have traditional expensive classes. Idea is learned from a master florist with 30 plus years of experience without expensive classes, confusing tutorials, or years of trial and error. Purchase the $147 course. And the traffic is coming from paid ads on Facebook and Instagram, targeting people who are interested in flower arranging, Japanese culture, and creative hobbies. Additional context: this is a first draft with placeholder specific content, cheat sheet tips, before and after photos, testimonials. This is the instructor's first time offering this course, so there are no student testimonials yet. The instructor is a verified master of the craft, and the course competes against $2,000 traditional ikebana schools and $50 to $100 local classes. All right, I think that's enough context. Thanks very much for that. Rod, take it away.
All right. This is kind of long, so I'll just read until one of us stops me.
Shoot.
All right, cool. Finally, the secret to mastering ikebana without expensive classes, confusing YouTube videos, or years of trial and error. We got a couple alts.
Then we got 2 alts.
Yeah, so finally, learn authentic ikebana at home, even if you've never arranged flowers before and don't know where to begin. Or create stunning ikebana arrangements, even if you've never arranged flowers before and are convinced you don't have the natural eye for it. Cool. Learn the ancient art of Japanese flower arrangement in just 30 days from the comfort of your home with a master florist who has created stunning arrangements for over 1,000 weddings. Scroll down to discover the beginner's cheat sheet that eliminates 90% of trial and error.
All right, let's analyze the headline complex first of all. Then, so for anyone watching, the headline complex is effectively this. So you got the headline, subhead, and then like subhead. Mm-hmm. So funnily enough, I never tend to start with like line edits, but Ashley has just said something which was the first thing I was thinking of. And I used to be guilty of this, like just adding the word like finally or something, and I still do this occasionally. But because this is such a specific and like niche topic, like you don't even need finally. Like it's not, if I'm interested in this thing, ikebana, I'm probably going to read this anyway.
Yeah. It's I think there's also a thing too where like keeping in mind how niche this topic is, anyone who's getting to this page is going to have pretty specific user intent, and like understanding where they're coming from. There probably aren't a lot of people who are like, oh my God, I've been wanting to learn this for so long, but like the classes are so expensive and there's confusing YouTube videos or years of trial and error. The sort of finally lead in there doesn't work very well if the part that follows it is not like in the tone of voice or like phrasing that like the prospect themselves would like think of the topic through. So like I could see something that's like, the secret to mastering ikebana, even if you can't go to Japan, like that's a thing maybe, but like, was confusing YouTube videos really someone's barrier to entry there, or is it just like, or is it something else?
I think you bring up a really important point, Rod, which is effectively like a value edit. So remember, everyone, we've got 3 levels of edits. We got value edits, function edits, and line edits. Value edits are the most important one because they could give a whole new way of thinking about the copy. And a value edit is all about what is the idea of the copy in the first place. And so far, you know, from all of these kind of headlines, really, the idea seems to be that you should, you know, this is a simple way to learn Ikebana without some kind of stress. Okay. But as Rod said, I'd be happy to test this, but I don't think many people who are going to come onto this page are like really worried about the stress of YouTube videos or like, you know, not understanding kind of like how they could like learn these things, like what classes to go to and stuff like that. Because I imagine anyone who's on this page is already kind of interested in Ikebana, and they're probably like either looking for it, searching for it, or have heard of it before. Therefore, I think the thing that's really going to set this apart is what you've kind of started to talk about, like down here, and you mentioned at the beginning, which is like, you know, it's from a master florist. Like that's the thing that kind of sets this course apart to me, is that, you know, even if he's not like well known, you could, and I would assume I would assume he's Japanese. You know, you can, I would just say like, you know, like whatever his name is, you know, name names, first, like Ikebana class available for the public, you know, or whatever, something like that, you know, master florist with 1,000, like however many years experience and like 1,000 things under his belt, like, is now taking on students online. Because that to me is like, oh, that's the exciting reason I should be looking at this more closely, you know, rather than, oh God, I've looked on YouTube and I've looked on this and I've looked on that. It's more like there's this kind of exclusive, chance and opportunity for me to learn from a master, as you say, Rod, like from the comfort of my own home without having to go to Japan, you know. So that's what I'd be looking at.
And to be honest, I would actually challenge it at like an even deeper level. Right now, the framing is like, it's very much around Ikebana as like a craft or like a skill. And I only know a little bit about this because Japan shit, but like, it is like it's like the art of flower arrangement. And so when people are doing it in Japan, it's not like an applied thing where, oh, I'm going to do this for my house because I want my house to look pretty. It's like almost like a practice. Like think about yoga or think about painting. And you would never say like, oh, years of trial and error when it comes to painting. And so I think a lot of this framing, and even like the proof points, like this person has done flower arrangements for 1,000 weddings, feel a little bit off in terms of like probably the value that the prospect is trying to get from like knowing Ikebana. And you would never say like the secret to mastering Ikebana, because this is like the kind of thing where it's like you do this for like 20 years and only then are you a master. So we would never say like, oh yeah, you can master it with just this little YouTube course. Like anyone who's like serious or like knows anything about this would never really like frame it that way. It's like, oh yeah, the secret to mastering painting when you're with just this YouTube course. Like no. So
yeah, I suppose there's definitely a question there around like, you know, it depends, I suppose, if you want to sell more or stay authentic to the reality, which is up to the business. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and obviously you do need to sell it, and so I'm not saying like don't sell it. However, you do need to keep in mind, like, if the perception of this or the value of this for your prospect is like a more elevated, artsy, like cultural type thing, you do need to make sure that your framing can accommodate their perception of this product.
I think it's interesting because you've got two very different approaches to kind of sell this, because you've said as a creative hobby or a potential side business. And it's like,
ooh, yeah,
it's one of those things where I think those are kind of like quite opposed to each other. Like I would personally I would either just lead with the fact that, you know, this is a way to create like a side business. And you could say, you know, by doing something fun and something that's cool, but I would lead with that being the main point. Or I would just say, this is a creative hobby and, you know, it's great and you can like do whatever. Like, oh my God, I used to work with a brand. Oh God, what the hell? It was, what are they called? It's like these kits where you kind of like poke beads onto like art. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Worked with them for like a year. Anyway,
Mac
but
designing?
probably I think they there was a specific name I can't remember. Anyway, that was they were just selling that on like the creative hobby side. Like that was just like, oh, it's like a really fun pastime, and it's almost like kind of crochet kind of thing. So I think I would really decide what one you want to lead with here. That comes from research. Like that just comes from, I don't know if are people already looking at this as a side business, or are you just able to target women who are interested in a side business and kind of educate them on this from the ground up? You first of all need to decide, are you targeting people who already know Ikebana and want to master it already? In which case, this stuff makes more sense, but I still wouldn't go with it. Or are you trying to target women who just want to have a side income and you're introducing them to this for the first time? I'm not saying either wouldn't work, but I think the former is going to be slightly easier because you don't have to educate as much. You're just going to people who are already searching for, hey, I want to do Ikebana, for example.
Yeah.
With that in mind, I would be switching this whole kind of headline complex up to really focus on the fact that you are learning Ikebana, or you can become a student from a master, like Ikebana instructor, sensei, guru, whatever you want to say, who has done, over 13 years experience, and you can learn like the traditional, the authentic techniques directly from him, from the comfort of your own home. Like he's, for the first time ever, he's offering this, to people outside Japan so they can master the authentic art of it. That to me makes it feel specific and unique enough, because it's like, there's a reason for me to be looking at this course as opposed to the other Ikebana courses out there. So if I was targeting people who are already interested in Ikebana, that is the angle I would be taking. That's the kind of value edit that I would give to this. Does that make sense to you, Rod?
Yeah.
So that's what I would be looking at, because you kind of have this natural advantage of this like master being the guru anyway. And that ultimately, if I'm already interested in Ikebana, is the kind of thing that is going to appeal to me. So would rethink that, Michelle. I'm guessing this is your copy. And then interesting, you've got this. Scroll down to discover the beginner's cheat sheet that makes 90% of trial and error. Added a bribe here to keep the reader on the page. I don't think that's a bad idea, and you see this quite a lot on sales pages like nowadays of like, oh, scroll to read, or like included below like this thing. I don't think that's a bad idea, because then it becomes more like an educational piece. However, this is quite like what we call like an offer lead, effectively. You're kind of, it's kind of almost straddling like a bit of offer, a bit of secret, I suppose. But I would go all in on like the offer here, because I would just assume that you're going to be targeting people who are already kind of interested in learning this stuff. And then using this page to prove why he's such a master and what kind of things you're going to learn. So just break down like the modules and stuff. That's how I would be building this page. And then you can test a wildly different page. Now I'm going to say, Rod, do you want to read kind of like, maybe kind of down to like here-ish of this lead, so we see how it goes, and then we'll skim the rest of it and see how it goes.
Sure. If you've ever dreamed of creating those breathtaking, soul-stirring Ikebana arrangements you see in magazines, if you've ever felt frustrated trying to learn from confusing online tutorials that leave you with wilted flowers and wounded confidence, if you've ever wondered why your arrangements look off no matter how hard you try, then what I'm about to share with you will change everything. Here's the problem most aspiring Ikebana artists face. Traditional Ikebana schools charge $2,000 or more for authentic training. Local classes meet at inconvenient times and require expensive commutes. Online courses spend hours on theory before you even touch a flower. Meanwhile, you're stuck watching YouTube videos that contradict each other, buying books that make everything sound impossibly complex, and creating arrangements that look, well, like you stuff some flowers in a vase and hope for the best. Sound familiar? You're not alone. I've watched hundreds of students struggle with this exact same frustration. They believe they need to be physically present with a qualified master to learn properly. They think they lack the natural creativity required. They assume Ikebana is only for people with years of artistic training. But here's what they don't realize. Ikebana, by its very definition, doesn't require massive creativity to learn. it follows specific learnable rules that actually make it easier for beginners to create beautiful arrangements.
So let's stop there, because I think that like one sin this is currently committing is like you are like over explaining, and I don't know if you're actually talking to the right kind of person, because this is very much themed now towards someone who's been doing this for a while and is frustrated because they haven't got as far as they want. If that's the case, sorry, Rod, go on.
I think it's also pushing off against like way too many different things. I think you pick one primary objection and you run at that, because the kind of person who's like hesitant, who doesn't want to invest in a $2,000 class to learn an art form, is a very different kind of person who feels like it's expensive to commute to a class.
And I think that's exactly what I mean by like over explaining everything as well. It's like because even if you are talking to this person who has all these problems, they already know they have all these problems, right? So therefore they are ready and they're chomping at the bit to fucking get a good Ikebana course that just like deals with those, the issues of like, oh, I want to make this simple. So if that's the case, why do you need to kind of hook them with, oh, if you've ever done this, 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 if you've like all of these are just basically telling me what I already know. Whereas I've just gone through like this offer lead, which will offer a headline complex, which is effectively just around, hey, this is an Ikebana class by someone who's great and is going to make it simple for you. That's all I need to know, And I think that's the problem I see with a lot of sales pages is people just kind of like mirror this style they've seen in other like sales letters and things, where it's like this if-then style constantly, where like you're selling an Ikebana courses to someone who's already interested in Ikebana courses, right? Like all you need to do is prove that yours is like different and unique and it's been made to tackle the things that they don't like. That's not going to an expensive class. That's not like looking at YouTube videos. Like instead, that is stuff. Rod, I'm getting like a freight train through your microphone.
There was literally a freight train that just went by.
That's hilarious. Oh yeah, of course. You're in Mark's thing. All right, anyway. So like this already is just trying too much, too hard, and to too many things. Okay, strip this way, way, way back. Okay, and just focus on what makes this course so good, because that's what I care about. Like you've already introduced me to the fact you're selling something. Now I just want to see what makes this so great. And it's not reminding me of the shit that makes other stuff bad. It's telling me what makes your thing unique. And that, I think, again, comes back to the guru, comes back to the way of like training, for example. And you start to kind of like get into that a little bit where, you said, like, was it down here? I read it. Yeah, Ikebana by its very definition doesn't require mass creativity to learn, follow specific learnable rules, actually make it easier for beginners to create beautiful arrangements. It's like, okay, so, this is starting to get into like, all right, well, you're now kind of almost introducing me to this new concept I'd never realized before, or that I feel like I don't know enough about. So if you're actually saying it's actually quite simple and it follows a few very specific rules. In fact, there are 3 rules that you need to understand. And if you just spent the rest of this page kind of talking about those rules slightly, and, not giving away the whole farm, not explaining everything you're going to teach in the course, but just saying that this is why you go through these rules. This is why this master has spent years, mastering it. That's going to make this page far more valuable to me than what you're doing right now. Does that make sense to you, Rod?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So let's keep going down. And again, look at this is definitely a consequence, I think, of like a cliche writing and like sales letters that people study. So many people, a really big problem I see from copywriters is they spend too long focusing on other products and other things. Like, look at this. It's like traditional Ikebana instruction fails you because of problem 1, because of problem 2, and because of problem 3. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't work for any kind of product, especially if it's something that they have, already experienced. But the fact is, if I'm already reading this and I've already been intrigued by your headline complex, I would much rather you just get to the part where you tell me why yours is different and what great things you're going to show me. And I think Captain Rayla just said a good one, which is this copy feels like it's following a certain formula. And I think that's right. I think it feels like it's very formulaic. It just seems like it's kind of if then, if then, if then, sound familiar, problem, problem, problem. All of this stuff is failing you. Like it's down here until we actually get to like the creative Ikebana method, which is, you know, your thing, which I think the name could maybe use some work. Personally, I don't think creative thing method is the best, but it's better than nothing. And here's where you get to like the interesting stuff for me. The 3-stage, you know, it's like, okay, right, well, that's interesting. However, learning the rules, understanding the rules, and creating your own rules, they are not very sexy stages, right? Like, that doesn't make me feel like I'm really going to be learning any secrets. Remember, one of the best things you can do in a course is the practice of fascinations, is detailing the kinds of things that people are going to learn within this course. You know, so that can even be stuff like, you know, why only like masters from the whatever prefecture of Japan understand the true art of Ikebana. And it's like, that's like, oh, okay, why is that? I want to know why that is now. Or the 6 kinds of flowers you should never touch if you want to do this, you know, do Ikebana properly or whatever. So those are the kind of things that suddenly become interesting to me, you know, rather than just, oh, you've got to learn the rules, understand the rules, and create your own rules. That's kind of basically just telling me too much about what's in this course. And to me, this now feels like I have to sit through a course. I now feel like I have to sit through the course and be like, oh man, I've got to learn stuff. I've got to understand stuff. Then I've got to create stuff. I don't want to do that. I just want someone to tell me everything that I need to know, you know, and actually it's super simple.
Yeah. Michelle's actually in the chat. She says, yes, she was given a framework to follow.
Yeah. And I think that kind of comes across quite obviously. And you know, this is a real course as well by the sounds of it. So I think Michelle, and again, I don't know if it's the client who's giving you this framework or a copy chief or whatever, but you can show him this video if you want. And I think like the thing really that I would be looking at here is just kind of go back to the drawing board on like, who is it you're talking to and what do they actually care about? If it's someone who's already interested in Ikebana, then, you know, half of these objections are kind of already dealt with. Just the fact that you're talking to them very directly about what you can do differently, that's dealt with. They're like, okay, awesome. Now just show me what it is that you can do that other people can't. And ask yourself, has your research actually pointed in this direction? Like, do you have actual evidence of, yeah, okay, people who want courses like this, they are currently practicing Ikebana, they are doing their own flower arrangements right now? Because I don't know. Because if that's the case, then you're not having to educate people on what Ikebana is and why it's great. You're just selling to people who are already really interested in it, which obviously becomes a lot easier as well.
Would you just scroll back up to the top 2 and just like back to that audience section? Because I think this is my biggest issue with this is like the people who they're talking to are like women 25 to 50 who are interested in learning Ikebana as a creative hobby or potential side business. What that screams to me is like, these are people who have an idea of what this practice is as like an art form. It's like, oh, this is a cool sort of thing I want to get into. And so these are not people who are like very product aware for like any of their competitors. And so much of this is framed around like products and offerings and why other people's thing doesn't work. And here's like here's a framework for understanding what Ikebana is. When the reality is like probably most of these people are just like, oh, Japanese people make pretty flower arrangements. Me want make pretty flower arrangement too. And so the selling you have to do here is not, here's why our product is the best. It's like, oh, you see these really expensive courses and think that means that this is a really hard thing to get into. But really, we have a simple way where even like you from the comfort of your own home in not Japan can do this. And so it doesn't need to be very tactical. It doesn't need to be like, here's like a framework or here are like the 3 fundamental things. It's just like, yeah, you know, yes, it's intimidating. Yes, some people spend their entire lives doing it. But in order to get into it, you only need to know like these kind of simple things, and that'll get you going.
Yeah, I agree. So again, I think like where I would say you can follow a framework is like, yeah, down in the offer section where you're breaking down what's inside the course, Again, I want some fascinations here, Michelle. Like I want to see some like good bullets of things that are actually going to keep me intrigued, that make me feel like, oh, actually, I'm going to be getting information that most Ikebana enthusiasts will just never understand or never get access to. So go away and practice some for each of these sections and bonuses as well. And again, it seems like I think you've got some good price anchoring with the fact that, you know, Ikebana schools cost $2,000 or more. I would maybe try and point to some specific evidence of that, not necessarily naming ones, but you can even just saying like, you know, the three most popular Ikebana schools in Japan and internationally each cost at least $2,000 to attend or something like that. And then I would probably just cut this basic local classes thing. I just get rid of that because as Rod said earlier, you're kind of pulling at too many things, pointing to too many different things that are not like similar. You've already got a really good price anchoring of like, usually if you want to learn this stuff, you have to pay $2,000 and go to an actual school. I'd get rid of the local classes thing because either people are already looking at local classes and they've decided that they don't want to go to local classes, which is why they're on a product page or on a sales page, or they're not looking at local classes and this is just giving them the idea to go and look at local classes. So I would just get rid of this because $50 per session when you're about to pull out a $147 price tag, that doesn't actually sound very bad. That's like, oh shit, so I could go to like 2 or 3 sessions in person for the price of your course. So I just get rid of this. So again, yeah, same thing here. Like materials and tools is like, well, I assume I'm going to need materials and tools. Like, I assume you're not sending me out a free pack of tools. So I would get rid of that. I would just be anchoring against like, you know, the schools where you have to go and learn this kind of stuff would be $2,000, but you're not going to pay anywhere near that today. It's only going to be $147 because Master, you know, Hidoki or whatever. That was probably extremely racist. But you know, Master Japanese name is like, you know, wants to bring the art of Ikebana to as many international students as possible. So he's only charging a fraction of the price, you know.
To that point, I think one of my biggest points of beef with this is that we really, really need to get sexy here. I sent you a link in Discord, Alex. Would you open it on stream? It's in our
I will. Yeah, one second.
It's
Let me just bring that down for a second, because God knows what kind of things I have up on my Discord. Okay, here we go. Would you want to start describing what you sent to us?
Yeah, it's an article, and I just want to read the first 2 paragraphs of this. Michelle knows who we are. Thank you, Michelle.
Get going.
And so this is like an article on Ikebana for 101 for beginners or whatever from Architectural Digest, like architecture, design, interior magazine. And this is like the tone of voice, like the style with which people talk about this. So it's the first 2 paragraphs. With a history spanning over 600 years, Ikebana remains a cherished tradition in Japan, passed down from generation to generation as a way of connecting with nature and expressing creativity. This specific type of flower arranging has evolved into a highly respected art form that reflects the Japanese aesthetic sense and philosophy. In recent years, a new wave of modern Ikebana has emerged, challenging traditional forms and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. From bold, minimalist arrangements to avant-garde designs, Ikebana and the related Frikebana is attracting a new generation of enthusiasts who are drawn to its innovative spirit and contemporary style. Like, we're talking about art here. And so obviously this is copywriting. We do have to do some sales. We do have to lay out offers and stuff. But if the way that people are getting to your page is for this sort of appreciation for aesthetic sense, you really have to lean on like that sort of style, that sort of like, oh yes, you know, it's traditional, it's this, it's that, it's about connecting to nature and representing this. And, you know, when you have this in your home, it's a representation of your commitment to that. Like, lean on those things, because right now the tone you're using feels like it could be for like any product ever. And that's not going to get people into that sort of like buying mood or make it feel like, oh yes, this is really the spirit of this thing that I want to get into.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think that also kind of comes back to what we were talking about with the kind of person who's starting this because they want to make money as a side business versus the kind of person who's starting this because they're already into Ikebana and they already love it. You know, like you could probably sell Ikebana to people who just want to make a side hustle by being quite like, like super direct and like the little known Japanese art that's making Americans millionaires, you know.
Yes.
And you can probably be quite, but that's not who you want to sell to. And I imagine it's not who the guru wants to sell to either.
And even the people who sell it are not selling like, oh yeah, we're make $1 bazillion. It's, oh, you know, share this art form, share your art with the world. And, you know, it's presented as this noble thing, even if it is just fucking selling.
Yeah. So like, I think the offer section is where you can afford to be a bit more formulaic, but I would definitely say like up here, you can be a bit more direct, but like not in a salesy way. I mean, you know, direct in the sense of, you know, just respecting people's time, showing them exactly the specific reasons that your Ikebana class is new. It is different to other things that people have seen before. It's got a ton of proof points because of this master who's teaching it. You can move down to unpackaging what's inside with fascinations, with interesting tidbits of like, you'll also get these, you know, these bonuses, etc. when you come down to the offer section. And of course, price anchoring against like, oh, you know, this level of mentorship is usually reserved for people who pay $2,000 and travel to, you know, like this place in Japan. But Master Rod is presenting it to you for only 6% of the cost or whatever. All right, cool. Michelle, hopefully that's helped. I completely appreciate, you know, being hamstrung by someone saying you need to use a formula. So hopefully you can use this as some proof to them to go back with and say, hey, maybe we should change this up a bit. But hopefully that's helped. All right, next we've got fertile after 40.
Excuse me.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger. So what this is, a sales page for a course teaching women over 40 how to become fertile so they can have a healthy pregnancy. The reader is an English-speaking woman, age 41 to 51, from the US, UK, Europe, or Australia, who are looking to conceive either naturally or through IVF. Some have already tried everything, others have only just tried now. Discover the science-backed holistic strategies I used to have babies at 44 and 46, even after my doctor diagnosed me with early menopause and told me donor eggs are the only way at 41. Actually go to checkout where the traffic is coming from. Traffic is coming from organic inbound, so coming from clients' Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook posts. Okay, so I'm assuming not ads then. It's organic. Funnel post to DM. Okay, so comment. They get a DM, which links to the sales page, land on the page, and then they go to checkout. Okay, fine. She has a current page as well. Let's have a look at that too. It's not the prettiest page. Fertilize 40 Masterclass reputation. So you need to create the family you've always dreamed of. Social price $297. So this is very direct. This is a heavily offer-led past. 5 years have babies for. Okay, cool. Actual copy. Rod, do you want me to read this one?
Yeah. Tell me about your fertility.
Right. Oh man, you know all about my fertility. For women over 40 who want to have babies naturally or through IVF, discover the science-backed holistic strategies I use to have babies at 44 and 46, even after my doctor diagnosed me with early menopause and told me donor eggs are the only way at 41. This course gives you and your partner 40 plus proven lessons and step-by-step video breakdowns to help you become more fertile in just 12 weeks and create the family you've always dreamed of. Ready to conceive? Button. I became pregnant with my baby 3 months later. So grateful. Following the fertile after 40 protocols for a couple months, my period started again. I became pregnant with my baby 3 months later. So grateful for you, Sam B. All right, let's break this down. Rod, what are you feeling about this?
Can I pause you real quick? Because I think you just did something that was magic that probably 70% of people in chat don't know how to do. So when you went to that, to the woman's page before, you viewed the page as if you were on mobile. Can you show people how you did that?
Good. Yeah, good shout. Yeah, so if you've got a keyboard, most keyboards, you can just press F12. If you don't have an F12 available, if that doesn't work, you can just right click around the page and then go to inspect, which is this button here. And then you have this button, which give you different dimensions for specific devices. I don't think you can even see that on my thing, can you?
You cannot.
Yeah, you can't see the drop down, but basically there's this bit up here on the top left. You can click that, a drop down will come up and it will have different devices. So I could change like Galaxy, iPad, 14 Pro Max, that kind of stuff. Really useful. And it's something that, yeah, it's just second nature. So I didn't even think about it. But yeah, you're right. It's probably an important thing to highlight why I'm doing it. Which you feel free to explain.
Yeah. So design matters, copy matters, but all of those things are going to change depending on what device you're on. And so you're going to write your sales page. You're probably going to be thinking about either mobile or desktop. But it's really important to make sure that your page doesn't break if someone's using it on a different device. And so this is a really easy way of testing once you have your page up, or like, even if it's unpublished. Does my page look like crap if I'm viewing it from an iPhone versus Samsung versus like on desktop? Like super, super important tool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And another reason I always switch to mobile is because, for anyone who doesn't know, and this is the case for most websites, anywhere between 60 to kind of like 75%, sometimes even 80% of traffic is mobile, and it's through mobile devices nowadays. Makes sense when you think about it. Mobile is usually where people are when they're scrolling through Facebook or places where ads are, Instagram, things like that. Particularly with this one, if they're contacting through Instagram, how many people use Instagram through their PC or laptop? I mean, I do, but that's because I do copywriting and marketing. But most people don't. Most people just use the app. So if I'm clicking a link on my phone and I come to this page, if I'm a copywriter or a marketer and I'm viewing it like this, I mean, this is not like, this is obviously broken on desktop anyway, but like if I'm viewing it like this, I might completely misunderstand what people are seeing, what 80% of people are seeing when they're coming onto the page. 80% of people might not be seeing a core part of the headline, might not be seeing the button, might not be seeing the image that breaks down or explains the product. So really, really important to always switch to mobile, which again, you can do by just pressing F12 on your keyboard for most keyboards, or failing that, right-clicking, going to inspect, which I know you guys can't see because of how the screen share is working, but just right-click, and at the bottom of the menu that comes up, there'll be a button that says inspect. Click that, and then you can move on top left here to different dimensions of devices. So nice, easy hack if you really want to help businesses do better. And it's something that, as Rod just said, I imagine the majority of copywriters just never even think about.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, yeah, that was not coffee. I only have 50 minutes left, by the way, 50 minutes. So I will try and what I can. All right.
We will sprint there. Yeah. So we got a headline complex. Discover the science-backed holistic strategies. I used to have babies at 44, 46, even though my doctor told me I couldn't.
I have opinions on this.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I don't mind going first. So generally speaking, I really like this complex. Okay. Because now the average person, and I don't mean the average viewer who's interested, I mean like the average beginner copywriter might look at this and go like, it's too long. There's too much going on here. But ultimately, if I've come from an Instagram DM with someone who it seems like I've already kind of spoken to a little bit, and they've just told me about, you can have a read of my what happened to me here. This doesn't come across as like salesy. This just comes across as very descriptive and like it's giving me what I need. Discover the science-backed holistic. Okay, so like, yep, science-backed important because it's helping overcome the objection. There's not like necessarily loads of proof yet, but it's helping me start to overcome that objection of, okay, but does this really work? Holistic seems like some kind of important. I mean, I know for a fact that unfortunately, I'm not just going to paint the brush of all middle-aged women here because I know it's not, but like particularly from brands I've worked with, middle-aged women tend to like that term. Strategies I used to have babies at 44 and 46, specific, seems real, and around the age that I am. Even after my doctor diagnosed me with early menopause and told me donor eggs are the only way at 41. I might reword this a little bit just to make the flow a little bit easier to read. But generally speaking, if I've already had a bit of a conversation with you in the Instagram DMs, I'm not really going to care because this gets across like the main stuff. And then again, I'm already pre-framed that this is a course because I've had a DM about it. So I don't mind that this is immediately going into, hey, this is a course. Being very specific about like what I'm getting. And there is a soft promise here of become more fertile in just 12 weeks and like a bit of an emotional benefit as well, which is the reason I'm doing this in the first place. It's not just about fertility. It's this image I have in my mind of having a family, of having children, of having, more kids in my life. And then one thing that I would like potentially do is I would like kind of front load like these two testimonials because these are really strong, right? Like I would at the top of the page, like even potentially like instead of this, like I'm not saying this is bad up here, and you could do it on, you could have both on the page. I think that's fine, but I would want like a big kind of like testimonial banner with like a face of a woman with her name, kind of like this, that just says, I became pregnant with my baby 3 months like later. Or, you could say like 3 months after reading, in brackets, you could have 3 months after listening to whatever the name of this woman is. So I became pregnant with my baby 3 months after listening to, Sarah. I didn't actually see her name. I probably should have. I don't know if she even said her name.
Rebecca.
Rebecca. There we go. So that's what I would do. I became pregnant with my baby 3 months after listening to Rebecca. Okay. That first thing I see on this page, because that is a major vote of confidence and then makes it even more worthwhile for me to read this kind of text that's coming my way. So generally speaking, I would give this headline complex like a solid B+.
Yeah.
Rod, thoughts?
It's a really smart headline complex to me. I agree. It'd probably work well to move that testimonial just like to the top. I would keep that eyebrow copy in general and just like pretend like it's just have everything start after the testimonial because it's just so clear. I think the eyebrow copy, like the women over 40 who want to have babies naturally through IVF, is really good for qualifying the audience. And so it's a great thing to read and think, oh, yes, that's me. And then you get into here's the science backed, which means like, hey, this isn't like some woo-woo shit, holistic, but it is some woo-woo shit, strategies to get the outcome that you want to have. And so it's saying like, here's something you can trust that's going to align with spiritually where you're at to get the thing that you want, even overcoming probably an experience that you've had. And then just in that subcopy, very clearly spelling out what it is and who it's for and like the sort of timeline for results. I think it's well designed. I am not like super familiar with like this target audience and the primary objections that they have coming to things like this, but just from like does it sound like you have a well-reasoned argument going into your copy? I think this is successful.
Yeah, I agree. So let's carry on. So I'll read some of the lead and then we'll scroll through.
Okay.
To all the women over 40 who are committed to making motherhood a reality. My name is Rebecca Rumsey, and I know what you're going through. You may have been career focused in your 30s, but at 40, you felt a deep desire to become a mom, or you may have met your partner later in life and are now ready to start a family. You then tried to conceive and struggled despite countless attempts to fix your fertility, and maybe experienced failed IVF cycles or the heartbreak of miscarriages, wondering whether it's even possible for you to get pregnant using your own eggs at this age. I've been there, and let me tell you, your age might not be the cause behind your unsuccessful attempts to conceive after 40. Instead, the real cause might be something many doctors, clinics, REs, or fertility specialists overlook during standard testing. It all comes down to this: not optimizing all aspects of your fertility before trying to conceive. This includes far more than just your AMH, FSH, or your partner's semen analysis. Chances are nothing has worked yet because your body hasn't been properly primed for pregnancy. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Now, I think that I'll give you something I really like. I really like this leading section, like into the rest of the page. Cause like from here to here, I feel like I'm learning something that's worthwhile. Like your age might not be the cause behind this thing. Okay, amazing. So it means there's a real reason why. What is that reason? You're actually like hyping it up, opening the loop, and you're satiating my curiosity while also making me more curious about a new thing. So you do actually answer this thing quite quickly, which is like, okay, I'm not optimizing all aspects of my fertility. So I now kind of go like, oh, that might be why it's not working, because I'm not optimizing all aspects of fertility. But I don't know what that means yet, but that's now at least like interesting to me, because now I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that? That's what's going to keep me reading the page, which we'll go on to. I would say like this like is okay, but it suffers a little bit from the same thing we spoke about in the last piece of copy, which is that I think that you could probably get away with like just 2 lines here, you know, like 1 or 2 lines just to show that you empathize with them and you understand the struggle without having to spell out every possible thing they might be going through. And I don't think it matters too much, because ultimately I think people will kind of like read or skim through this until they get to like this part, but I just wouldn't give people any reason to like click off or to kind of, you know, get bored. And I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines pretty much all saying the same thing, which, you know, like isn't necessarily going to be relevant to every single person who's reading this, I think is just overkill. I don't think you need that. I think you could very easily just get down to like take stuff about being career focused out, you know, like take stuff about being a deep desire to be a mom out. Like you don't need that, you know, meeting a partner later in life. It doesn't really matter kind of why they got into this. The fact of the matter is like they're struggling. That is the fact of the matter.
I actually,
you know,
I deeply disagree with that.
What I know why you deeply disagree with that, but I disagree with your disagreement. But say your piece.
Okay. So the topic of this is like, okay, fertility, people struggling with fertility. And the sort of offer here is like, hey, we're going to give you a thing that will help you no longer do that, because presumably it will fix your infertility issues. That is a very straightforward problem, I think, on the surface. However, I think the topic itself gets into some really deep-seated things for people. And I think sort of laying the foundation for her to play on those emotional threads later on in the copy is a really, really important thing. And so, like, if you think about, you know, what it's like to be a woman in Western countries in 2025, let's just use the US, UK, for example. Like, you grew up, you were fed the story, you can do it all, you can have everything, you should prioritize your career because you can. And so you start grinding, and you're like, okay, but now I want a family, because like that's the thing that is going to make me like fully a woman, even if society is saying that like I'm just as valid in the workforce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you get to a point where like the thing that you want, that you've realized that you really do want, that you've finally chosen for yourself, is no longer accessible for you, is like a really, really painful thing to grapple with emotionally for people. And so just at the front, acknowledging the sort of like life story of people, like, hey, you know, you were really career focused because the world told you that you should be, but you came around and finally for yourself decided that you want a family. But now that you finally decided that you can't have one, and that's incredibly painful, is like a really, really good thing to point out. Because I'm sure that's going to come up later on, and like the notion that people deserve to be able to have families no matter what point in life that they want them. They deserve to have their own kids and shouldn't be forced into adoption or forced into IVF or whatever, is like going to be a pretty useful thing for her later on in the copy.
So I totally get that. However, and this is where my ignorance of the market comes into play, because I haven't done the research. Is this the main reason that people are going to be reading this, and the main reason for infertility? Is it because they were career focused? Do they understand that? Or is it because they just didn't meet like the right person? Or is it because of some other thing? Or is it because they weren't sure if they wanted to have family? My point is, there are so many different things. There are so many different kind of like types of people who might be going through this, that if there is one, and if it is like this thing, and you know it's this thing, fair enough. Like, not a problem with this. But do we have the research to back up that this is the case? The reason I say that is because if I start reading this, and like, even I know it's saying May, but if I'm starting reading this and I'm like, well, that isn't really my story, and that isn't really my story, then I'm going to kind of feel like, well, does this person fully understand why I'm coming into this? Mm-hmm. So I think and that's kind of why I preface this by saying, like, I don't think this is bad, and I don't think it's harmful to stay here. one of my rules I'm reading copy is I'm just looking for any line I can cut or anything that I don't think is going to add a massive amount of impact to the sale. And similar to the first thing we spoke about, if I've already seen an Instagram post and had a DM conversation and then come through this headline complex, I already feel like that this person is pretty damn empathetic to why I'm doing this and why I'm having kids. And the stuff I want to get to is like the real reason why. Like this is almost padded fluff of like, oh, well, I know you understand me because I wouldn't be here if I didn't think you understood me. So that's more my kind of the way I'm coming at it from. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying that this is not stuff that people would feel that is relevant. I just don't think it's going to add the majority of the sales kind of like, or the majority of the interest when people have already been through 2.5 stages of understanding why they're here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. I know a number of people who have struggled with fertility issues. And I think one of the toughest things is like, it's not something that people talk about very often. It's like, oh yeah, you have kids or you don't have kids or whatever. And so like a really big part of that experience is like finding spaces where they feel seen and then they don't feel like ashamed to talk about their issues. And so when people finally have the opportunity to like be honest about how hard it is, or to have someone point out like, yeah, what you're going through is like unfair and crazy and insane and like shameful, it makes you feel ashamed of yourself or whatever. That's a really powerful emotional experience for people. And so, yeah, right here, Sierra, thank you. For most women feel like a failure for not being able to have kids naturally. Like this is like a really, really deep-seated emotional thing.
So that's exactly what I'm saying though, is that I think we can say that in 2 lines with exactly what Sierra's just said.
I think you have to say it over and over though. Like, because I'm sure there's like on the Instagram stuff, there's some nodding to it. There's some nodding to it, some nodding to it. I think you can say it, but I think then giving examples of like, you know, you grinded really hard for your career because you wanted to make sure that like your family would be set up for success and be comfortable. But when it finally came time to like start your family, you weren't able to. And so all that work, you put in all that work and you still feel like a failure. Or like, you know, you thought it would be easy and, you know, you could be younger or, you know, whatever, and it's not happening. And just like, I would do like 3 or 4 sort of like general cases of this where like, you know, maybe once you were super focused on your career, another ones you found the right person, but it's not happening for whatever reason. And that's like a point of shame because now you feel like a failure to your partner. And then just like a general, like for whatever reason, it's just like not happening. I think you get 90% of the audience there. And then it's like an additional level of spelling out the reason why, like you in particular, like might feel like a failure. And this is like such an emotionally like heavy topic.
So I am not disagreeing with what you're saying at all. Like the emotion, I do not have like any issue with adding that emotional weight to this. 100% agree. I think the compromise and I think how to make this work even better. And the issue I had, like I said at the beginning, you know, I don't think this is going to be a massive problem either way. But one way to, I think, like make sure you're not catching people out, because let's just say I am someone who's a bit discerning. And I start reading this and I say, you may have been career focused in your 30s or not felt like it, or you may have let your partner later in life. And then I'm like, not either of these, or I'm not this first one. That kind of makes me feel like, oh, well, maybe this won't work for me because like this isn't the reason. This isn't like they don't quite understand who I am. So for those discerning people, perhaps a better way, and this becomes a function edit, a better way perhaps to frame this may well be like, my name is Rebecca Rumsey and I know what you're going through. And then similar to what Sierra, and I think Sierra is dropping some great lines here, and I know what you're going through. I first of all want to tell you like it, and I know this is almost cliche at this point for copy, but like, you know, you are not a failure, like for not having children, or like, you know, this, like if a lack of fertility or needing a fixed fertility is not your fault. Then it doesn't matter if bullets this or even this. like that, I think then makes me like, that's now qualifying in a more kind of way that I'm like, oh, it's clear that this is purely a functional way for me to say, oh, right, this is one of me. And then, as you said, Rod, have a catch all at the end where it says like, or perhaps you've just like not had children for whatever reason. So I think that might be how I would restructure that bit. And I think hitting like with a really impactful line there to get that empathy across in the first place, especially after saying, I know what you're going through, I think would be awesome. I think just capturing that single emotion and saying, you know, like, this is not your fault, or this is, you know, you can feel like a failure, you know, like having a lack of fertility can be the one thing that, you know, you can't get over or whatever. We've spent too long talking about this bit, so let's move on and scroll on. But like the fact for whomever wrote this, this is good. Like the fact that we're talking about it to this level, and take note, neither Rod or I said like, oh yeah, this just like doesn't work, or like, oh no, they're thinking about the wrong stuff here. Like we're just discussing, okay, well, how best can we get this across? So I think you're doing a good job. I particularly like this section, as I said, leading into, oh, this is the real reason why. I'm going to keep reading this bit.
Yeah.
Chances are nothing has worked yet because your body hasn't been properly primed for pregnancy. And I know because I went through the same thing. At age 41, after a severe concussion, my doctor diagnosed me with early menopause and told me that donor eggs were the only way. But I couldn't imagine going through life not being a mother, being 60 years old and not having a child. So instead, I tried something different. Like, I love these are so clearly things that, like, you know, again, I'm not like massively up to date on this market, but these are so clearly things that are so emotive and things that you worry about, you know, being a grandma without being a grandma kind of thing. I dove into research and I spent a year holistically preparing my body, relying on the same science-based holistic strategies that previously helped my clients overcome hormonal imbalances. This bit's confusing to me because, like, you're kind of talking in the past, because so far all I know about you is you had this problem with your doctor, so you decided to try something different. You did research preparing your body, and now you're talking about clients. Like, wait, were they clients at the time or from something you did before, or you're talking about clients now? That's just confused me as I've been reading it, so maybe rework that bit. This finally allowed me to convene actually at 43, deliver a healthy baby at 44, and do it again at the age of 46. My story is living proof of the power of natural fertility optimization. There you go. That right there. NFO. I know I don't know this brand. Maybe they're already using this, but like, fucking, I would be saying, like, you know, the power of NFO to get pregnant in your 40s and 50s. Like that becomes, like, you can use that somewhere, you know, that NFO becomes the mechanism. So I don't know if that's already a thing or if this Rebecca came up with that, but I think that's a great way of putting that, of like calling this as a system, you know, and saying, you know, the reason you're not getting pregnant has nothing to do with your age, you know, and you could even say something along the lines of, you know, like, the truth is there will maybe even be women in their 20s or 30s who struggle with this because they are not, like, using natural fertility optimization. This becomes even more important as you age because, you know, like, your natural ability to have a, like, or your, you know, your innate ability to have a child, like, wanes. Therefore, you need to make sure you're optimizing every other area of your life so you're more likely to get pregnant. That mechanism then makes so much sense to this. My client, Sarah A., proves this too. I'd given up all hope on naturally conceiving at 43, but you gave me hope. We did it. Amazing. This shows that it's possible to have a healthy pregnancy with your own eggs even after 40, but only if you first optimize your health before trying to conceive. Something I would actually want to do is, like, I don't think you've mentioned anyway how many women you've helped.
Yeah.
And I'd be really interested to see that because, like, especially if it's like hundreds or thousands, that, like, if it's just like, oh, I've helped like 15 women so far, it's like, that kind of makes me go like, well, do you really know this? And I might not mention it. But if it's hundreds or thousands, then it suddenly becomes, holy shit, this is not a fluke, you know? And I would mention that somewhere, potentially like in the headline complex. Because regardless of what you've been told, you do have the power to influence your fertility within 12 weeks if you make certain targeted lifestyle changes. And that's what I'm sharing with you in my Fertile After 40 Masterclass. I'll walk you through everything I did to optimize my body for pregnancy, but more importantly, I'll help you and your partner understand how to identify what your body needs to boost fertility so you can bring home your baby. Because your journey is unique and your solution should be too. It's time to write your story. Your solution should be too. Now, there's only a slight niggle, but like your journey is unique and your solution should be too. This now makes me think like I shouldn't just be buying a masterclass. This makes me think I should be going to an expert, if that makes sense. You see what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of brings up an objection to me, like, oh well, if my solution needs to be unique, then it means I need to go to a. I would just cut this line because it's just kind of generic fluff anyway. What exactly is the Fertile After 40 Masterclass? 12-module self-led solution with bite-sized science-backed lessons and step-by-step video breakdowns. It uses the latest scientific breakthroughs in fertility to help you and your partner become more fertile in just 12 weeks and boost egg quality up to 45%, reduce miscarriages risk by 49%, increase live birth rates by up to 86%. Now, I would be interested to know where those stats are coming from. Most people probably wouldn't question it. However, like you want to make sure you have solid evidence for those in case you get brought up by the authorities on how can you prove this.
If you scroll down to the bottom, everything else is like pretty good, but they do have a question at the bottom about an upsell. It's like page 19. Yeah.
So yeah. So before we get to this quickly, now I'm just going to say, like, I think broadly speaking, like that's good. You know, it's so much better than what they've currently got by the looks of it, judging by their current page, if that's the one that you've said. So good job so far. We definitely say like adding kind of quantitative proof of like how many people have done this. And then again, I didn't see if you did that or not, but like fascinations are going to help here a lot, particularly with this sales page, because like, you know, the 2 foods you need to start eating tomorrow, you know, like if you want a better chance of conceiving. It's like, that's just like, well, I need to buy it now just to get those fucking 2 foods to know what they are. Anyway. Does it start here? Upsell question here. Okay, so this masterclass is priced at $299. This is my client's second highest priced offer. Her highest priced offer is her fertility coaching one-on-one service package called the 3 months extra care program at $3,000. Cool. My idea is after someone buys masterclass, we should upsell them with the 3 months extra care program, discounted at a price like $2,000, and frame it as a time urgent exclusive offer. And if people deny, downsell them to 1 month program instead of 3 months, which is $8.90. And if they deny again, downsell them to one of the other $20 books, whilst also having an exit intent pop up at any moment in case people want to close any of the upsell, downsell pages. The exit intent pop up will give people a lead magnet for people's emails. I think that is a fantastic idea. I would say potentially like the second downsell, you might like, I don't doubt that would increase AOV, like, which is good, but I definitely see frustration rates like anecdotally go up when there's like 3 fucking things I have to click through when I'm done, and then it does feel quite pushy. Upselling to that 100% makes sense, and then downselling to a more affordable version of that also makes a ton of sense. Like I think that is actually super smart because, you know, an upsell, you should just have an upsell anyway, and there are going to be people who just want to buy. When Sean and I went to a copywriting event a couple months ago, and one of the things Mark Ford spoke about there was like how there are going to be people, you know, maybe only like 1 to 2% of people, but who are your customers who just want to spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars with you. And if you don't give them that opportunity, they just won't. So I think having that there to capture them is really, really smart. And I think having this downsell, which allows you to anchor this bigger price when all of a sudden it still feels like you're kind of getting the same thing. I know it's technically 2 months less, but it's still the 1-to-1. And that's kind of what you want. And you feel like even getting 1 session of 1-to-1 feels supremely valuable. So still having that, but for effectively half price compared to what you've just seen, that's a really, really good anchor. Would maybe kill that. Like I understand having that because it is going to increase ACV, but like I would just like try with these first and just see if anyone takes you up on them. And if not, you can kind of rethink the strategy. What do you think, Rob?
I completely agree. No notes. Let's carry on.
Amazing. I also just see, oh God, my share is breaking. No, whose copy this is, said it's not that many, which is why I haven't mentioned it, which I think, yeah, that makes sense to me. In which case, yeah, like just don't mention the number and, you know, you'll be fine as you are. But generally speaking, dude, I think this is good. I think this is good copy. And the reason we spend so long reviewing the lead, of course, is because that's the thing that's really going to sell the most people. Trusting me, Master Green Holistic Health as well, like nice. I I would actually say that this stuff about her, I would bring further up when you're talking about like why she was able to like work all this stuff out as well. I wouldn't hide it down there because it just helps kind of layer the proof on for you. But yeah, generally speaking, I think this is going to be much better than the existing page. So I would just run with this and then improve and iterate with A/B tests. But hopefully that's helped. But yeah, like, good job, man. I like this. I think this is hitting the mark, and you know your audience. So well done. And yeah, fascinations. Definitely fascinations. I think that would work really well for the modules. Okay, awesome. Rod, anything else on this?
Nope.
Cool. I don't know how, but like my microphone wire has like gone into the wheel of my chair. So
Don't
deal
move.
with that in a minute. Yeah, I'm scared it's going to blow up. All right, amazing. Now, this is our friend Sean, who submitted this last time, or a few weeks ago, and I reviewed it. So I feel like it hasn't changed loads. I think the main criticism I had of it last time is you have the headline about the 4 Ps, and then you don't explain what the 4 Ps are, and it seems like you have explained what the 4 Ps are a bit more. But Rod, I'll let you read this one and give your first kind of impression before I give like an update of what I think.
Okay.
I'll try and
so we have some contact info up top. Sure. I use the 4 Ps to help you get more leads, sales, customers, and profits. Hi there. I'm Sean Van Zant. I love to help businesses like yours thrive by generating more leads, sales, customers, and profits through a breakthrough system called the 4 Ps. Picture, promise, prove, and push system I use to write dynamically good copy. The 4 Ps is a huge reason why a company's revenue and profits can soar. So why are the 4 Ps so powerful? Because it's writing that uses sales psychology to show your prospect that your company's products or services are the right solution for them. It's what makes your marketing work, whether you're marketing through emails, e-newsletters, blog posts, website copy, social media posts, and more. I was trained and certified to do this special kind of writing and marketing through one of the world's best training companies, AWAI. If you're ready to get more leads, sales, customers, or profits, then contact me. P.S. Don't forget to check out my testimonials page.
Yeah. So let's take it from there because I know they've got a few testimonials and stuff down there.
Okay.
But anyway, sorry. What's your first thoughts, Rod?
So, I kind of wonder about it. It feels like you're selling a system, a copywriting system. Here, when like really you should be trying to sell like your own services. Like presumably anybody could use this system, and it doesn't sound like you don't say that it's something born out of like your specific expertise. And so, I would be a little curious as to whether or not like a prospective business reading this would like react and be like, oh yeah, we have to hire Sean versus we have to hire basically anybody else who has this kind of copywriting knowledge, because it just doesn't sound like bespoke enough for me to be like, oh yeah, only he could have thought of this. And so it's not compelling to me in the sense I'm like, oh yes, now I need to hire you, as opposed to, okay, now I know something about like how good copy is written, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think hey, Shauno. Hey man, can he? Oh, you can hear.
Hello.
How's it going, man? Now I'm not talking to you, Sean. Like, copy that, Sean. I'm talking to this Sean when I say Sean right now. So, copy that, Sean. Don't respond, Sean. The problem that you've got here, and it's the thing that I brought up in the last time I reviewed this a few weeks ago, is this kind of, there's 2 ways you could have gone. And I mentioned to you, like, the 4 Ps as a system, I think it's fine to mention because it can help set you apart from other copywriters in a sense. And it's what Jonathan and I did for our agency, like years ago. We had a thing called the tape system. And the whole shtick, the whole selling point was like, we are going to X because of our tape system. Which you're kind of doing here. However, saying more leads, sales, customers, and profits, that's a lot of almost like kind of just generic terms that sound good for a business without really pointing out to what kind of businesses you work with and what kind of things you actually deliver. One of the things I spoke to you about last time was that if you're using this kind of sales letter style to sell yourself, you better have a damn like interesting and like hook inducing something to grab me in your lead, right? Like an offer or something hyper specific about the kinds of people you serve. Because if I'm just landing here because either you're putting a Google ad to like copywriters in your area or you've just sent this to someone, there's not really much in it for me here. I can't really imagine me working with you because I don't know what kind of businesses you work with or exactly what you offer to businesses. That's kind of the biggest issue. I don't mind you mentioning the 4 Ps. Like I don't mention that. I don't mind that. But what you need to mention is who you work for and why you can generate like specific results for them. For example, one of the things that I've done recently that has kind of helped me like land clients is I'm now kind of framing myself as a direct response consultant. And I'm very much saying like, look, you know, there is this kind of marketing that you're already familiar with, you know, social media and, you know, just random blog posts and SEO and stuff like that. I want to come in to give you the direct response spin on your marketing, which is just focused on results through ads, through existing landing pages, and through like emails that you're already sending. Like I will increase things just by doing things that I have learned as being a direct response consultant. And then I immediately flash up loads of proof that I've got. Brands I've worked with, businesses I've helped, percentages that I've increased things, blah, blah, blah. That makes more sense. And the mechanism there is direct response, which most people don't know what the hell that means. The 4 Ps can be that for you, but I would not be worrying about the 4 Ps so much because I think the only thing you've really updated is just kind of telling me what the 4 Ps are. But the other thing that I spoke about last time I reviewed this was very much what is in it for the customer, the prospect who's looking at this page, and how are you proving that you've done stuff before and calling out to the kinds of people that you want to have. So those are the things you need to go back to the drawing board with. Just plan that first before you just, I don't want you to just change copy on here. I want you to actually go back to the drawing board and plan those things out. Don't be wedded to this headline.
Yeah. Can I just add something really quick?
Of course.
So I understand what's going on here. We are trying to hook people with the secret of this system that Sean knows that is responsible for a lot of successful copy out there. The 4 Ps is responsible for multi-million-dollar packages across niches. Great. Okay, super fantastic. Now, if you don't have the personal credibility to sell yourself, and you're ultimately trying to sell your ability to use the system, well, 2 things need to happen. You got to do what Alex and Rod said, which is like, you got to make the system feel sexy. And one of the ways that you do that is you don't just reveal the fucking system in the 3rd goddamn paragraph. Like if we're keeping the 4 Ps a secret, don't reveal the secret just yet. You got to build up people's interest in the secret. Like why is this system so powerful? Why is it? Why does it generate more leads and sales and customers and profits? And I would just focus on maybe one of those things. And then when you ask the question, so why are the 4 Ps more powerful? And then don't answer as though you were writing an essay. So why are the 4 Ps more powerful? Well, I think it's more powerful to just show you, use the 4 fucking Ps. Paint a picture first of what the 4 Ps can do for your business. And then prove it. The 4 Ps are so powerful because they were clearly on display in this direct response package and then give the stats behind that package, and then provide proof and then another picture and then, always do 3 to 5. And then ultimately you talk about and you spin that into like a benefit for the people that hire you because of like your use of the 4 Ps. The moment you get started working with me is the moment I start making the 4 Ps work for you to draw and then whatever. And here's the thing. At that point in the copy, you haven't even revealed what the 4 Ps are yet. You really don't have to until way, way later. And the reason why you would want to do it that way is because 2 things. 1, if you don't have the cred, well, then one way to establish cred is to establish case studies. And one way that I've seen a lot of people get work is by actually presenting a case study. Now, this is a sort of sales lettery way of presenting case studies. Look at this sales letter. Look at how it used the system. Look at what the system did to generate XYZ results. Oh, and hey, look at this, look at this, look at this. And then ultimately, by the time that you've presented a few pieces of proof, one of the P's, you ultimately get to come back around and push your ability to drive that system for people using or wanting the outcomes that you've presented.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I can't
Yeah.
see the chat. So
that makes sense. And it's the same again, like when we did that with our agency with the tape method. The tape method was revealed in a VSL. And it was part of a bigger system as to explain why it works so well. Not just it's these 4 things. Like you can't just do that, because it doesn't mean anything to me.
yeah, use the 4 Ps if you're going to sell using the 4 Ps.
Mhm.
Is my advice. The moment I heard that, I was like, God damn it. Sorry.
There you go.
Goodbye.
So goodbye. Hopefully that helps a bit, Sean. You need to go back to the drawing, but if you submit this again, I don't want to just see, because the version I reviewed was pretty much the same as this. Like, I don't just want to see another version of this where you change a few things and I've added a paragraph about the P's, therefore it's fine. I want to see deep thinking and a plan about why you've built it in such a way, according to either what Sean's just laid out or what Rod and I laid out. Okay. All right, cool. I have 10 minutes, Rod. Then I've got to jump on a call with an e-commerce store. Are you going to keep going with this, or are you going to jump off as well?
I can, but let's pretend like I'm not going to, so we can go really fast.
That is fine. Okay, this is Spanish, I think.
He has the copy.
Yeah, we've got it. I've got it here. So what actually is this? What the hell is a photovoltaic installer? I don't know, but I love this kind of shit. Qualified appointments guaranteed, or you don't pay us. Okay, we generate qualified leads, so you stop wasting time with window shoppers included. Wait, what? Hang on. What the fuck is this? What is this?
It looks like some sort of high
Marketing agency for photovoltaic. Is that does that mean fucking what the hell is it called? Solar panels? Does that mean solar
relating
panels?
to the production of electric current at the junction of 2 substances exposed to light. So it looks almost like think solar panels. Yeah.
Okay, so this solar panel. Okay, so you're a marketing agency for people who are installing it. So you are just trying to connect people who want solar panels with installers of solar panels. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and this page is responsible for trying to get solar panel installers on to pay you for business. Okay, right, makes sense. Marketing, I'm just going to assume that this is just solar panels, okay? But I'm going to assume that the businesses will know what you mean by that. Marketing agency for Spanish photovoltaic installers. Qualified appointments guaranteed, or you don't pay us. We generate qualified leads, so you stop wasting time with window shoppers and close more sales. Book your free consultation. Okay, so I think that this is very direct, which I like, because this is if I am a Spanish photovoltaic, whatever the fuck, then this is calling me out, and I know exactly what this is. Great. Qualified appointments, that's what I want. Guaranteed, okay, well, that's a strong offer, or you don't pay us. That's a very strong offer, and I like it. Mm-hmm. We generate qualified leads, you stop wasting time, window shoppers and close more sales. Yeah, makes sense. Book your free consultation. This is where my problem comes with it. I don't really know what the free consultation is. I don't know what I'm going to be doing on it. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know when I can book them for. What is this consultation for? To see if we're a good fit for each other, for me to pay you money up front? How does this work? So the main thing that this is suffering from is not telling me what's going to happen next or what the easy steps are. And I think a really quick way to fix this would just be a nice just step 1, step 2, step 3, something like that. Step 1, sign up or jump on a call with one of our one of our team and sign up for free. Okay. Step 2, we send you like qualified leads that come straight to your inbox. Step 3, you only pay us a set like small percentage commission if the customer pays you. Oh, okay, cool. So I know why I'm getting on this thing now. It's like, and then a little bit more information about like, just book a time slot that suits you, just to make sure, and we'll discuss just to make sure we're a good fit for each other. There you go. Okay, now I don't feel like there's any pressure for me to do this.
Yeah.
So I've had a few people saying, I swear I saw this exact copy being reviewed by Sean in some video. It might be a resubmission. Homepage was, so has this already been reviewed? This is the exact copy, or is this the alternative copy? Not sure. So that's something I would definitely do. Qualified appointments guaranteed or you don't pay us, I think is like a strong offer. There's a question about whether that can be made a bit more specific. So like qualified appointment, what does that actually like mean to me? Is there a way I can say that to be a bit more specific or clear on exactly what that means? Guaranteed, like nice and simple, or you don't pay, like I think that makes sense. But again, here in this somewhere, I just want like a bit more of a specific shout out to exactly what's happening. So step 1, step 2, step 3 is good, but like here we generate qualified leads so you stop wasting time with window shoppers. Like that's fine, but couldn't it just be like we find, like for example, we find like keen buyers or like rabid buyers in Spain who want solar panels put up ASAP, so you don't waste time with people who are unsure or people who are on the fence or whatever. That then just makes it more specific, makes me feel like, oh, okay, that's great. If there's a more specific way to frame this offer, I would like to know exactly what this offer is and exactly how this works, and maybe I might have like a slightly better way of saying exactly what headline it should be. But generally speaking, it's fine. It's very clear and it's a strong offer, which I like. Does that make sense to you, Rod?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Cool.
And it should be like a pretty quick fix too. So
yeah, I think so. So apparently this has already been reviewed by Sean. So I don't know if this has like changed much since he reviewed it or not. But let's just but again, I think this is it's a service-based thing. Like you could step 1, step 2, step 3 of exactly like what this process is going to be like, and then a big CTA. That's pretty much all you need. Like the rest of this, the next thing I want to see is proof and evidence of this having worked for other like businesses, for example. And I also want an objection handled of like, okay, but if you're working for other photovoltaic installers, like, are you even going to have enough leads, for example? Like those are my kind of two big things. It's like, okay, well, have you done this for other people? And if you are doing this for other people, are there even going to be enough leads for me? I would want those dealt with immediately. So that would be my next session. This is bullshit. This is just fluff. Like, we're not just another generic copy-paste 360 agency. Well, you fucking sound like it because you're using the language that they use. Like, this doesn't mean anything to me. Like, if you're truly committed to the renewable energy sector, like, show that, which you're doing by, this up here. Like, you are just for these people. So that's fine. So it doesn't do anything for me. Again, like this doesn't really mean anything to me. I want you to show me results. I want you to show me that you know what you're talking about. Don't just tell me you know what you're talking about. Show me you know what you're talking about. How many things have you helped install? How many leads have you generated for these other businesses? How many regions of Spain are you active in? How many hundreds of solar panels have you helped install or whatever? And then we also work on a pay for results model. If we don't hit the agreed targets, we don't charge our fees. So now my question is, okay, well, what are the agreed targets? Is that something we need to discuss in our call? Is that something you need to then make more clear up here about like, well, we need to discuss what it's going to be? Is there a fixed fee? I'm not sure. Why work with us? Leads in autopilot. Like this is just repeating the same thing up here, which is like, it's fine. Yeah. But like you kind of seeing now why there's not been anything new that's said that's actually going to help prove why I should be working with you yet. 100% measurable returns. We shared detailed reports on how you invest and how much you earned on a regular basis. Okay. Fine. Results guaranteed. We only work when if your company wins, the risk is on us. So what I really want to say, and especially if Sean's already, and I've only got 5 minutes, I want to try and get to the next one if I can, but like, I would say that I would want to hear. I want you to resubmit. I want you to make the changes that we've just suggested. I want you to resubmit this, but I want you to really think about what someone coming to this page actually needs to see and wants to see from you. Because at the moment, it's more kind of a lot of it's a bit just kind of generic fluff. Like you just say, "Oh, we're good at this." It's like actually show me you're good at it. You know. Does that make sense, Rod? Is there anything I'm kind of missing here?
No, I think that's fair. Just get more specific. Because right now, you could have this exact same framing and copy for pretty much any business if you change like 3 words.
Yeah, exactly. And this how we do it section again. This could be interesting. Just say like why, but it's not just how we do it. But so like why we guarantee results for photovoltaic businesses or whatever. And then it's like because like we have a rigorous system which is based on like the PRC. Like we have like personalized ads, rigorous filtering, continuous optimization. But again, I want specifics on why this works, showing me that it has worked and why you have the stranglehold on the industry or whatever. How do we guarantee results? You can't guarantee results, but you can guarantee results in the sense of if you're saying, well, we won't charge. In that case, well, you're guaranteeing they won't lose any money because you're not going to charge them if they don't. But again, that's something you need to break down in the offer. I'm going to move on. Please redo this and resubmit it because I want to see that, but with more oomph, with more thought behind it. Now I have to go in 3 minutes. So Libot is a robotic pool cleaner company. It's not real. I basically copied a product, renamed its brand. Pool owners who want a full pool cleaning service, they don't even need to look at their pools. There's no attempt of mine at Facebook ads. Just be somewhat soft. Last time you made me cry. Dude, don't cry. It's only copy. You got to separate yourself from the words. I apologize if I made you cry. That makes me very sad. But please, I promise you don't need to cry. I feel like I should give this to Rod to do then. So Rod, please, you do.
I am much meaner than you are.
Well, that's true.
I'm the last person you want to give this to. Okay. Let's read it out. And does it say what this is? I assume it's just Facebook. Okay, great.
Although I do have a hard cut off in 2 minutes though. So
yeah, you can just leave. Just disappear into the night.
Okay, I'll give you a really quick review of this then.
Okay, cool.
Save 19 hours per month without the hassle of cleaning your pool. Well, you've got an alt here, which is fire the pool guy. I guess my question is the point to replace a cleaner they already have or to save them time? Because this is now talking about saving time, but I would imagine most people have pools get pool cleaners. I don't know. I don't have a pool.
I think you test both.
Yeah. So like that's, just run 2 ads of like, oh, save time versus fire the pool guy. I think that's fine. Or like, save, I don't know how much cleaning a pool is, but like if this was, save $2,000 a year on pool cleaners, it's like that might be a worthwhile investment. So starting with something as, bombastic as that, an immediate might make sense. Meet Libot C2, the world's first AI-powered pool cleaner. I think that's okay. With AI-powered debris detection. I mean, AI is just a buzzword at the moment, and it is working. So I don't get too annoyed when I see it because it's working. It cleans 20 times faster while ensuring thorough coverage for entire pool. Look, what I'm going to say to you, dude, is like this is a fine Facebook ad. Like this is fine. Like this is, but it's because it's a very simple product. Like it's just like, hey, this is a great pool cleaner. Do it. So like this is okay. I'd be happy to run this, but the key is going to be like testing creatives and really like just testing a ton of different ideas, like big ideas about save $2,000, save this amount of time, fire the pool guy, make summer easier, whatever. So this is going to be like, this copy is fine. But like, it's because it's not a particularly like difficult product to write about. It kind of sells itself because it's a pretty basic product and offer, if that makes sense. But I'll let Rod take this from here. The key with Facebook ads, which is actually what I'm about to talk about and the call I'm about to jump onto, is testing different direct ideas like we spoke about earlier on. But hopefully this shouldn't make you cry now, because like this is fine. Like this is like standard like e-com like Facebook ad copy. So I'd say this is fine, but it's not like insanely challenging. So like good job. Like you have not done badly. So like don't think like, oh, I need to do like way more. Like this is fine for what it is. I will let Rod take over now. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Apologies, I'm running so quickly.
No, you're good.
Apologies if I didn't get to your copy today. Please make sure you resubmit it. Obviously, I had fucking half an hour of not being on this call. Okay, Rod, see you later. Guys, see you later. Have a little bit of fun. Goodbye.
Bye. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank God he's gone. Let's keep going though. Let me just pull up this copy. Share. All right. Cool. We're on the screen again. Let me zoom in. So I agree with pretty much everything Alex just said about this copy. Definitely the way that I would approach this going forward is to hash out like maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 different like idea territories, and then come up with a couple different options for each. So right now, like this first headline you have is like save time every month without having to clean your pool. And so I would want to see like what are 2 or 3 different versions of like saving time. So right now you say like save 19 hours per month because you don't have to clean your pool, but it's like, but it could also be like, in just like press a button and you will automatically have your pool cleaned in just a couple of hours. What are some variations on that you could test? The other one is obviously like save money. You have fire your pool guy, but also like Alex said, you could do a more direct, save X number of dollars a month, save X number of dollars a year. Buy this one time and never spend another dollar again on pool cleaning services. All things you could test there. Another thing along the lines of the pool guy is like not having someone like come to your house and have to do it and have to schedule and manage and all the hassle. Are people going to be home? Are they going to try to sleep with your wife? What are things that you get out of not having to have someone come to your house to clean your pool? So really just like, honestly, you could have like 10 of those that you test for a real business, and then you just see what's working and then you iterate off of those. But you absolutely want options going into those tests, because if you only have 1 or 2, it's going to be hard to have a great understanding of like what's working and what's not. But yeah, this copy is like fine as is. Next, we got product launch dog treats. So this is day 1 of a product launch for dogs. The offer is 10 pieces of dog treats, a squeaky toy, and a disposable camera. I hope this offer gives a high perceived value for customers. Okay, so this is, I guess, an email. Okay, let's just read it and we can talk about this. Yes, so just try out different stuff. Here, let me pull this up too. One thing you can kind of cheat with copy like this is that like you can keep a lot of the same assets. And so like these bullets are going to be largely the same. You might want to tweak it a couple tiny things in here, but you can reuse a lot of the same stuff and just like tweak the first couple lines and, keep running it. So it's less work than it seems to come up with that many different options. Yeah, I think you would also want to keep in mind like what the product is actually able to deliver. We actually had one of these the last time we did a shoot, and it was quite effective, but not nearly as fast as a pool guy. Did miss some stuff, and so you would want to be a little bit careful about like how you're promising things. But I would argue that maybe it could replace 80% of your pool guy, and that's probably good enough for most people. Okay, next. So this dog treats email. Name. There's an exciting project that has kept me up all night. What was a heartfelt idea from a month ago will soon be in a gift box for your pup. Meaning your pup has the chance to enjoy it before anyone else does. Want to know what it is? Well, in the first place, my customers have always asked me, what keeps you motivated to bake dog treats? One of the most rewarding things in the world is baking for your pups. It's when you're taking the fresh treats out of the oven and your adorable pups are wagging their tails with excitement as the smell of peanut butter is entering their nostrils. It's the joy you bring to your pups that makes baking dog treats memorable. So I asked myself, why not share that exuberant feeling with all dog owners, but with extra flavor to it? I've decided to make a gift box to make your summer memorable with your pup. Inside this gift box, you'll receive 1, peanut butter treats, all homemade with tasty ingredients of peanut butter, yogurt, carrots, and more. 2, a free dog toy, a squeaky dog bone toy that your pup can use as a musical instrument when they're bored. And 3, a free disposable camera to create fun, candid moments with your pup. That's right, I'm not holding back on this one. As you can see, the special summer gift box was created to strengthen the bond between you and your dog this summer. And since you're one of our loyal customers, you can get it for 67% off before anyone else. So click here to get the summer bundle gift box for your pup. Sincerely, me. Okay. What do you guys think about this one? I think just kind of going up to the top, we should talk about.
What do you want for lunch?
Oh, hold up. Chat, what do I want for lunch?
And why is it Greek food?
And why is it Greek food? Is it Greek food?
Do you want Greek food?
We can do Greek food.
What kind of Greek food?
Do you have a suggestion? I fuck with Euro, shawarma, all that stuff.
There's a place near here that has pretty damn good heroes.
Okay.
Gyro, pita.
Yeah, I trust you in any genre of flavor. I eat everything. Thank you for taking care of that.
Of course.
Sky, cheese pizza is not Greek food. Greek yogurt is, I guess, definitionally Greek food, but not. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Sierra. Anyway, back to the copy. So we need to talk about value. Because up here you're saying, you know, the offer is like 10 treats, a squeaky toy, and a disposable camera. And you hope that this gives a high perceived value for customers. Realistically speaking, like the total like amount of money you're going to have to spend to produce something like this is like less than $10 probably. And things like dog toys and disposable cameras are like things that people know are inexpensive. And so if you're saying, I'm going to give you some dog treats and I'm going to bundle them with these other cheap things, there is no way in hell that the average person is going to think of that as like a high value offer. And that's okay, but we need to understand that as we're writing copy. Because when you get down here and you're like, okay, you're talking about these dog treats as if they're like baked in the world's best French bakery. And then you're like, I'm going to make your summer memorable by giving you these treats and then these free things that probably cost like $8 total. It's not giving high value. And when you talk about something that people do not perceive as high value, as if it were high value, it does make it a little bit more difficult to sell because you sound out of touch. And so rather than frame it as this like really luxurious thing, I think I would approach it more as like, hey, you want to have fun this summer? Or, hey, you want to... I would come up with an experience that you perceive like this combination of products as like contributing towards. Because right now it's like, here, we're going to give you some dog treats and a dog toy and then have a camera to like take pictures of your dog, I guess. And that doesn't feel like a super fun thing, because realistically speaking, people probably already have dog toys and they can take pictures of their dog currently on their cell phone. And so really the only thing you're giving them that they don't have are dog treats. So if you want this to feel like more of a thing, instead of framing it around as like a gift box, I would instead say like, you know, think about what it means to use a disposable camera in 2025 and like the sort of like intentional time that takes, because you have to develop it. You have a limited number of shots. Think about it more from the lens of like what that sort of photography experience means, and then maybe invite people to go and like have their own summer adventures with their dog where they're photographing their dog in like different situations. And and then think about how things like the dog toy and these treats play into that experience. Because right now it feels like kind of a random assortment of like relatively low value products that you're trying to sell as like this magical thing that people would otherwise never experience. And that's not going to land. So I would say like definitely like take another stab at this and just spend most of your time thinking about the framing of this, because the writing itself is like fine, but figuring out like how do you make this combination of products like feel like more than some of its parts is going to be your biggest challenge. Yeah, even this. Grab your doggy field trip pack. That's like a great thought starter. Okay. Next. All dogs go to heaven. So context is for the copywriting niche. The product are masterclasses and videos to help level up your copywriting skills. Possible funnel, YouTube description to Discord, etc., to the sales page. There's only a headline and a lead here. Try to go with the promised lead. Let me know if I follow the correct structure. Feel free to point out English issues. Question, do you think the AI angle is overused or still relevant? I think it's something you can use. It is a little, we're getting to that saturated point, but I think the question always is like, are you doing it well? Does it feel novel? Does it feel believable? So I tend to think about things like this less from an is this overused or not perspective, and more of a are you executing it well perspective. So let's just get into it. Is this just for copy? Okay. No, we already have free courses for beginners. If you're not currently working or committed to copywriting, please click off this page. Cool little note. We love that. Want to become the copywriter that AI can't replace? Discover how to use deep persuasion to write copy that AI never can, to write copy that AI never can, no matter how advanced it becomes. Button, unlock the Platinum Collection. Dear truly committed copywriters, I'm sure you heard a few horror stories like this. Managers falling for a new AI and firing their copywriters, or freelance clients thinking they can automate copywriting and firing their copywriters. And we understand why most of you are fearful and confused because AI is evolving so fast that you're uncertain about your future as a copywriter. But what if we told you that AI-obsessed clients are now begging you to replace their crappy AI copy? We'll share with you exactly how you can do this too soon using deep persuasion. But let us make this clear first. No matter how special, or AI, no matter how special they are, specifically designed for copywriting, trained on 40-page prompts and hundreds of swipe files, even the new AI model 5 years from now, they all have exactly the same flaw. Just like how all electronics, even military-grade ones, are highly vulnerable to electric shock. And as soon as you get this, you'll realize that AI was never going to be a threat to you. A client asked me to fix AI content and engagement increased 100%. Member. If that sounds enticing to you, then keep reading, because in the next few minutes, you're going to discover all the benefits of deep persuasion in our Platinum Collection, such as how to fire up your copy using Advanced 90 so that it's hotter than AI servers working overtime to make generic and boring copy. How to gather research data that helps you write copy faster and with more emotional impact, and not the surface level research that AI spits out. And several lifetimes worth of professional copywriting experience that's never shared online or with AI. And so much more. We'll share with you all the juicy details in a moment. But first, who are we? Why should you listen to us? Okay, let's stop there for now. Okay, cool. So we have a sales page, presumably for our Platinum Collection. I think the AI angle here can work. And I think like what you're trying to go for can be effective, but it's not really landing for me right now. I think this notion of like becoming, you're actually doing a couple different things here. So first you have this idea of like becoming the copywriter that AI can't replace. And so when you say that to me, I think like, what are some niches? What are some things that people can do that AI can't? That's one idea. Another thing that comes up is like clients have shifted towards becoming obsessed with AI, and then they're quickly finding out that AI can't do everything, right? And so the second idea is like, now there is an opportunity for people because clients are realizing that like AI is actually not good enough. And so these two ideas are competing with each other a little bit, and I think lead you down two different paths for how the sales letter plays out. And I think you need to pick one. I think if I had to pick between the two, I would pick the latter because it feels like much more immediate. People, particularly new copywriters right now, are thinking a lot about the fact that AI is so common everywhere, and it feels like a big existential threat to them. And so if you say, hey, even right now, clients are realizing that it's not good enough, and so there's an opportunity in this present moment, that feels a lot more immediate, and that opportunity then feels a lot bigger and a lot more real. And so I would lean into that angle for this copy. And so that would require then like, you replace this part up here. And then you kind of change up this lead just to lead better into this. And like a lot of this is working. Another thing is like you talk about the platinum collection in here, but you never really say what it is. And that's like a big issue. If you're trying to sell, I don't think you should not talk about what the collection is at this point. First, you need to sell people on the idea that, there actually is a really big opportunity. And later on, the way that you show people that they can take advantage of the opportunity is by getting the information in this platinum collection. So you're trying to introduce it too early, but then also you're not explaining what it is because you probably intuitively understand that you shouldn't be talking about that here. And so the way to fix that is just to scrape all of that from this upfront section and just talk about it later on when you get into the actual offer. And so, for example, like here, you would just change this button to like, I'm ready to, replace AI instead of, yeah. How are these bullets? I think your like bullets here are like illustrative in the sense that like I can understand what you're saying, but I think they are doing a little bit too much and become unclear. So how to fire up your copy using Advanced 90. Like, what is Advanced 90? Is this like, I think of like 3D, but if I replace the word 3D in the sentence, it doesn't make sense. And so it needs to be 90 something. Is it like a 90 framework? Is it a 90 technology? What is 90 pointing towards? I think it needs to be made clear so that I understand how to read the sentence. And then hotter than AI servers working overtime to make generic and boring copy is a little bit too long of a phrase. Because the way that this like verb ends up playing out here, to make generic and boring copy, I think the first time I read that, I was like, oh, I'm firing up this technique to make generic and boring copy, which is the opposite of what I want to do. So definitely rephrase that for clarity. And I would say look through all of the rest of these and do a similar thing. Yeah. Let's see, what do we got here? To work. Yeah, it's pretty common for people to do this. I think it's helpful because obviously I know a lot about our products, so I can talk about when it's working, when it's not. Become a standout copywriter in the age of AI. I think that's okay. I think that like works. Stand out to me is like you could have a phrase that works a little bit harder. And so, to me, like right now, people are worrying about being replaced by AI. What if your headline is something like, become the copywriter or become the kind of copywriter that replaces AI? Or like in a world dominated by AI copywriting, become the copywriter that replaces AI itself, whatever. You're kind of pointing towards the transformation. rather than pointing toward just being standout, which can mean a lot of different things. Do I think AI can replace copywriters in the future? I think there's a level to which it can replace some copywriters right now, but that's mostly for copywriting that's not like super useful. Like I could use AI right now to spin up like some shitty headlines or like good enough headlines. But it'd be for the types of jobs where like you wouldn't necessarily want to get hired anyway. And so for the things that it's replacing in this current moment, I don't think people have much to worry about because you would already want to be working towards being better than that anyway. In the long run, I think it is a tool that you can use to become much more efficient. And so hold please. Okay. Sorry, train. So like I think copywriters will become much more efficient, and maybe there might be fewer copywriters because people can do more. However, that will also create a larger market, and so there might be more copywriting jobs too. And so I don't know how it's going to play out in the long run. Yes, props to Sierra. And I am beginner. Please guide me. You are on our YouTube channel currently. Click off of this live video and watch the 22-hour masterclass that we made telling you exactly what you should do if you're a beginner. That's my advice to you. Cool. Let's move on. This is, let me pull up the context for this real quick. 1 second. So this is a brand that somebody started with their friend. The traffic comes from organic, from posting a ton on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And the offer is an ebook that they created using ChatGPT, plus some of their writing and their research on manifestation. Okay. I think your copy was fine. I mean, yeah. And also, like, if you are, I think the copy that AI can produce is like fine, and sometimes like reads as human enough. But that means that sometimes like it's going to sound like things that a real human might write that would be good enough. And so, like, yes, sometimes there might be overlap, but that's not necessarily a reason to be concerned, because the reason that a company will hire you to write copy is not just for you to like literally do the typing. It's also to do the concepting. It's to come up with angles. In order to get AI to write copy, you are going to need to like insert angles and be able to like tweak it and have it edit to get to a very specific articulation of an idea. And so you would still need somebody with like that sort of copywriting mindset. And that's not going to be the kind of person who is trying to hire a copywriter most of the time. Even using the example of like a me or a Sean, where we might be looking to hire a copywriter, and we might consider using AI. Well, if we were to use AI, then we would still need to be sitting there tinkering around with it, which means that we would have to spend our time doing it, which is what we're trying to avoid in the first place. And so, while yes, AI might be able to get to a similar result, it's the process of getting it to that result that people are trying to like hire others to avoid in the first place. So that's worth considering. And yes, that's completely fine. And I think like in the long run, that's like definitely something to consider. But if you're getting into copywriting with like the intent of being a copywriter, I think necessarily you're going to get to a point where you are learning and practicing things that are not just the literal writing, but, you know, offer creation, larger like marketing infrastructure and ecosystems. Like, yes, if the only thing you know how to do 5 years from now is like to literally write copy, like it might feel precarious, but just by the nature of doing the job, you're going to learn a bunch of other things and how to do, like, nurture a bunch of other skills. And so, like, you're going to be fine. Yeah. I think a lot of people do like the sort of like copywriter to like business owner, offer owner path. And so I think it's a good way to get into that if you have like a more entrepreneurial mindset. All right. So yeah, we got an ebook for manifestation. How these 9 forbidden secrets have finally made my manifestation work and how they can do wonders for you too. I used to always catch myself having this tiny worry about my manifestation. The worry usually went something like, what if this doesn't work? What if I'm just wasting time with this? How am I going to attract? Am I being a fool for believing all this nonsense? If you can relate to having these thoughts and doubts, it might be a sign that you should keep on reading this. My name is Jojo Olin, and I'm here to show you the cheat code to manifesting. Before, I was desperate. I was a lonely college girl full of dreams. There were many goals I had. However, I didn't have a single clue on how to reach them. I was extremely unhappy with the way my life went. But one day on my TikTok feed, I stumbled across a video claiming how manifestation works and how it's the way to reach your dreams, which is how the rabbit hole really started for me. I had multiple wishes I wanted to come true. Some of them like wanting to manifest my ex back, wanting to manifest money, wanting to be one of the best students in my class, and many more. I tried manifesting all of this through writing affirmations, doing different techniques I saw on TikTok, reading as many books as I could about manifestation. But none of it really worked. I wondered why. Was I the problem here? Is it the perspective that I have while I'm affirming? Maybe manifestation doesn't work for everyone. Is it this? Is it that? I just didn't know. I even tried letting go of all of this, and still my wishes didn't come true. I was losing hope until I discovered these 9 forbidden techniques. I made this decision where I was going to try out some of the forbidden techniques I saw on the internet. You cannot find these techniques nowadays, or at least you cannot find the correct way to do them. I noted down all 9 of them and gave myself a 30-day challenge for it. And during these 30 days, want to know what happened? The first thing that happened was me finding $100 under a seat when I was out with the girls in a cinema watching a movie. The second thing that happened, my old high school crush, or should I say my ex, texted me back saying how he's missing me. The third thing that happened, I had the most difficult exam in my entire life, and I passed it. All right, let's stop here for now. So the difficulty with stuff like manifestation is that it's kind of like, to be polite, like woo-woo bullshit. And so you're having to sell people on like a practice that fundamentally isn't really based in anything factual. And that means that it's really hard to come in with like proof points. It's really hard to like tread the line of like saying the thing that's going to make people feel good about this thing that they believe in and saying things that actually sound like they might work. And so you're falling here into a lot of things, like the trap of being like, okay, well, I'm just going to kind of like VO what my internal monologue is through this to kind of like tap into like that, into your prospects, like internal narrative about like why any of this matters or why it's like okay to do this. As a result, though, like it ends up sounding very cliche. And I think that's the thing that I'm struggling with here. Like, okay, I want my ex back. I want money. I want to be the best like person in the class. And then like the story of like how that then plays out is like, and then everyone clapped. It's like, it feels a little cheesy. And I think that's the thing you kind of need to go back and address. The other thing that's a little bit bigger is like this transition into like these 9 forbidden techniques. You're not really clear on like how you found them. It's unclear on like if these things are findable, but then you kind of change your mind and say like, okay, actually you might be able to find them, but you can't find the correct way to do them. Like, how do you discover them? Why are they forbidden? What's the potential downside, or what's like the thing you stand to lose if you practice these forbidden techniques? Are they going to kill you? Are they going to become toxic? I need some background here on like what the stakes are, because if you don't tell me why it is that I shouldn't do them, it's hard for me to understand any of the risk or why it should feel like this scary jump that you made, and why you like I should think of you as like a brave person who took a risk to find some information that's now going to help me. Even something like here, like where you said you gave yourself a 30-day challenge, framing it as like, you know, even though I knew I shouldn't be using these techniques, I told myself that I would test them out for 30 days as like a desperation, and like out of desperation, just to see what would happen. Like that's how dark of a place I was in. And so then when you say, okay, well then guess what happened? All of these things started coming true for me, and then I escaped the downsides or whatever. It sounds like you kind of actually overcame something to get to this good outcome. And yeah, so I would just like, most of the stuff here, I think is just going to come down to like reframing so that you don't fall into these like sort of like cheesy. Yes.
Can I give a piece of advice to the manifestation person?
Yeah, please. Shauna's manifestation advice.
So first off, go and study Peter Kell's stuff and go and study Mind Valley stuff. It's really good. But also go watch some the TED Talk with Amy Cuddy presents.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the common thread of all of that stuff? It's the story is called a man in a hole story. It's where this person had nothing left, lost all their money. In Amy Cuddy's case, she had like traumatic brain injury. Literally, like parts of her brain were severed during a car crash. And like over the course of like hard work and also, you know, visualization, and in Amy Cuddy's case, a little bit of manifestation. In the Mind Valley case, a lot of manifestation. Like literally piecing your life back together one steady step at a time. The only way that you can really sell manifestation is if you emphasize the dramatic aspect of the change. Hey, I feel kind of bad about stuff, so I'm going to go on a 30-day challenge. No, you have a choice: manifest or put a bullet in your brain. That is the level of drama that you need to actually sort of emphasize and get across here. Now, imagine, you know, this story, instead of being like, I discovered 9 manifestation techniques and I decided to take it upon myself over the course of 30 days to like go try something else. Imagine if instead it's a story, because that's what manifestation is. It's a story we tell ourselves, and it's a way that we cope by telling us that, hey, the world and the universe does work this way through this mechanism. And so the only way to really sell manifestation is to sell people that are already willing and sort of open to hearing that story. And that is why so often, and in fact, most of the time, manifestation copy sells with a story. That means that your story has to be really, really good, like really good, not find $100 and like a couch cushion good. I mean, like, you know, I discovered this ancient guru, like, who like knew these secrets and had everything that I always wanted: Lamborghinis and Porsches and like eight girlfriends, all of whom were totally okay with being side chicks to each other. It's, you know, it's a thing. It's a thing. And like I begged, like, please teach me, like, you know, these secrets. And, you know, this guru was like, you know, I'll teach you one secret today,
But you have to promise me.
but if you reveal this secret, I'll have to kill you. Come back in 3 days and tell me, you know, I refuse to teach you any more secrets until you like prove to me that you're worthy of the next secret. And so you go out and like you use that secret. And so you see in the sales letter, it's not like, hey, I use these 9 secrets to like get everything I want. No, it's like day 1, you leave the guru's home or leave the guru's mansion or whatever, and you go and start using the first secret. And the first secret is like whatever it is in the copy. And then like for a couple of days, like things improve and start improving and things get like a little bit better. Again, over the course of a sales letter, the magic show always has to get better. And then like all of a sudden, like on day 3 or whatever, the most magical thing happens thanks to this manifestation secret. And in copy, one thing that you can do to build credibility is to reveal a handful of these secrets and to sort of give them different labels, like your own labels. And over the course of like those 3 days, then you come back, like you return to the guru, like a little bit wiser, a little bit better, a little bit more successful. And then the guru like gives you the next secret. And like, you see how this is going. Again, it's a logic of escalation, which is what you're trying to create, that as you start stacking these secrets, the outcomes you get better and better and better. And that's the story that you're trying to paint here, because something like that. And so like, ultimately what you're trying to do is really bring people in and show, and like the common mistake that people make when they do story-based copy is that they'll be like, and part 1, and then part 2, and then part 3. You want to break it up, being like, and then I went to go get secret 3, but then the guru wouldn't give it to me, like, for whatever reason. And then like, I had to go and like leave and do something else. And then like, you discover something else and like, have it be grounded in fact. Like you went to go study like how amazing all these things that you're experiencing are. And then you bring in some actual like credible studies from actual academic sources that sort of tie together like the neuroscience of this stuff to give it some factuality and backup. Again, what you want to do is you want to switch things up, switch between secrets and stories and other types of proof, because you don't want to just bore people. You want to have variety in what you're presenting to them. And that's going to be very important. Yeah. So those are my thoughts, like just overhearing from the next room, like what you were talking about vis-a-vis the story stuff. And Sierra says, make it into a soap opera. Yeah, sorta. Like some drama and escalation is good, but like good story copy isn't super cheesy, but it is emotionally driven. Like there's a high degree of pathos that you need to get into there. So
it's not melodramatic.
Yeah.
There is drama.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, do what Sean said. 1 second, let me go back. There's a couple of questions from earlier. Actually, no, we're good. Okay, great. Yeah, so definitely get into the drama, make it like deep in the story, talk about the stakes, what happened, sell the shit out of this. But don't get into that place of melodrama where it's like just cheesy as fuck. All right, next. So we have some context for sample, so some Loom, emails for Loom, which is like a video recording software. So emails in a SaaS context should guide people through the pirate framework, also known as the R model. What is this? Acquisition, activation, retention. Okay. Anyway. So I've written 2 emails here that focus on the activation part of that framework. In other words, they're meant to activate and use Loom for the first time so they can see the value of the app. So the ideal customer are remote managers who want to switch their workflow to Loom. Their goal is to reduce time wasted in unproductive meetings and lengthy email chains. So I imagine what that means is like your people have signed up for Loom. You're trying to get them to use Loom so that they can like experience the benefit itself. And then like keep using it presumably. And so, yeah, so we have a welcome email to get people to start using Loom and see how easy it is to get started. So the subject line is welcome to Loom, how to get started. And we have an email. Welcome to Loom. Your work week is about to get shorter, starting with your first Loom. No more hours long meetings or writing 1001 word emails. Just use Loom to share your ideas in minutes. Thousands of professionals like you use Loom to replace meetings with a quick video. Give visual feedback on projects. No typing, just pointing and talking. Share complex ideas easily. No more, can we hop on a call to share your brilliant but complicated idea. And plenty more. More on that in future emails. For now, here's your next important step. Download the Chrome extension. I'd say download the Loom Chrome extension. And also, this should be a link if it's not. If it lets you instantly record your screen anywhere, anytime, directly in your browser. Installation is simple. One, visit our Chrome store here and select Add Extension. 2, once installed, click on the puzzle icon to show all of your Chrome extensions. 3, find Loom for Chrome and press the pin icon. This will move your Chrome taskbar for easy future access. 4, follow the prompts to enable microphone and camera access. And 5, that's it. Simply click the Loom button and then select Start Recording. Here's a 30-second video that walks you through the above steps. Record your first Loom now. And then we have a little quote, and that's the end. Okay, this is interesting. I like that you took the time to actually walk people through the installation process for this, because that is a tricky thing for a lot of people, and you would be surprised by the number of people who can't figure this out. It's great that you have this video here. I kind of question whether you want this image embed here or just plain text link. The other thing though is I would show it's great that you show people how to install it, but I think you should also show people how an example of how to use it. And so maybe this thing at the bottom then is not just a video of how to install the the extension, but to then use the extension to very quickly and easily give someone feedback on an email or a document that they sent over, and basically just demonstrating the use case that you're telling people is going to be so useful to them. For this, I'd say for the no more hours long meetings thing, I'd say just commit either say no more hour long meetings or no more spending hours in unnecessary meetings, I think is a better way of communicating that. Or writing, unnecessarily long emails. Because what you're really trying to communicate here is not a specific duration of time or a specific length of email, but just how unnecessary and annoying it is to have to do these things to accomplish what is effectively a simple task that Loom is now going to enable people to do. Okay. Does everyone from Copy That have the habit of saying do? I saw Alex do it. Sean who now wrote too. It seems some secret noise to make you a better copywriter. I think it's just a English-speaking filler word, because we are uncomfortable when there is silence, as we are aware that people are watching us process something. I do that all the time. But maybe it makes you a better copywriter. Definitely makes you a better content creator. Expose Squad asks, what is the difference between emotions and desires? Do desires manifest in the form of emotions when brought up? Does that mean both of them are interlinked? They're definitely different things. Emotions are just feelings you have. So happiness, sadness, surprise, shock. All of those types of things are emotions. Desires are just things that you want. So, I desire a sports car. I desire a prestigious job. Those are things that I want. Your wants and your feelings are definitely interconnected. When you think about what it feels like to want a better job, some emotions might come up for you. There might be longing, there might be sadness, there might be excitement, depending on where you are in that process. But those emotions are going to be different for different people, or different, and for our purposes, different audiences. And so depending on who you're talking to, you're going to have to be aware of the different sorts of emotions that can be related to those desires. But yeah, absolutely interlinked, and a really important thing to always keep in mind. Fiverr related question. If you haven't done a gig on the freelancing apps yet, how can you land a client without credibility, Rod? Yeah, so I think we get this question quite a lot. One, definitely check out the 22-hour long video because we have a section in there specifically about this because we talk about using freelancing apps and how to get started on them specifically. When you have had when you've had no experience as a copywriter, but also when you have had no experience on the apps. The short version is you do a really good job on your profile, and so make sure it looks professional. Make sure that you are uploading some kind of portfolio, even if that is spec work, and then put effort into your proposals. So don't just be like, hey, please hire me, but really speak to what the job posting was and demonstrate in just like your proposal that you understand how to provide value or are going to be willing to go above and beyond to deliver that. Yeah. All right. So that was the welcome email. And I believe there's one more. It's the nudge email. They say the purpose of this email is that one reason some people don't use Loom is that they feel camera shy. This email tries to overcome the objections and nudge people to use Loom despite their hesitations about being on camera. The subject line is, but I hate speaking in front of the camera. Okay. But my team is too self-conscious to use Loom. We hear the sentiment often, and we get it. That tiny blinking red light in the corner is enough to give some of us a serious case of camera jitters. After all, we aren't YouTubers, some of us. But what if stepping outside your comfort zone, aka using Loom, can drastically improve your team productivity and reclaim hours of precious time? Let's tackle the top fears that might be holding you back. 1, I'll stumble over my words and sound silly. Our take. This was a common concern we have, so we listened to feedback and created the live rewind feature. Made a mistake while speaking? Just hit the rewind button, trim out your mistake, and then resume recording. This way you sound clear, crisp, and confident in every video. Plus, if you're lost for words, you can hit pause and collect your thoughts and resume when ready, like nothing happened. And another bonus, blunders made during recording can be trimmed off post-recording. 2, I don't look good enough. Our take. Forget looking perfect. Your team wants your authentic self, flaws and all. Plus, they only care about your ideas and expertise, not whether you had a perfect hair day. But if you'd rather not be on camera, Loom has your back. Just switch off the camera. You can still share your screen, no camera pressure at all. 3, everyone is already used to email and meetings. Why change? Our take. You don't have to overhaul your usual process. Instead, just add Loom for a few moments. For those moments when email gets too cumbersome, and for those meetings that drag on for longer than the wait between new Stranger Things seasons. Here's why switching to Loom can help your company's bottom line. Teams switching to Loom report on an average savings of 4 hours per week per employee. So ready to get started? Record on Loom and come across confident on camera with live rewind and pause. Cool. So this is an interesting email. And I like your idea here, but we're just sort of like prod at the execution a little bit. Like it is true that putting people on camera and recording them is going to add pressure that might cause enough friction to make people not want to do it. That's like absolutely factual. But I think that like the way that you're giving advice here is a little bit too like high level or broad. So rather than say like, I'll stumble over my words and sound silly. If you're the type of person who works in a company, you're going to have to do presentations at some point. You're going to have to be on camera at some point, particularly if you're a remote worker. And so while this may be a thing that people are aware of, this isn't like a huge fear because, you know, at a certain point in your career, you just kind of have to get like fucking go over it. So like, rather than like frame it as like, oh, I'll stumble over my words and sound silly, I might consider something more along the lines of like, maybe I don't give, it's like inefficient to, or maybe I use too many filler words when I speak or something like that. Just pointing to like, you might want like the ability to edit what you speak. All right, so maybe like, oh, I don't want to have to edit stuff. Or I'm not good at editing. I'm not good at whatever. That's why we have this. I think like this explanation is good though. I would just like reframe like this section. again, similar for like this one, like I don't think anyone seriously is gonna be like, oh, I don't look good enough. Like, you know, you have a fucking job. Like you know how to present yourself, you know how to dress yourself. If you don't want to do your hair for Loom, like there are other problems here that have nothing to do with Loom. I do like this idea though, that like you don't have to be like a formal presenter and have that sort of like ambiance about you to use Loom effectively. And so I like that you are tackling this objection. Again, I would just frame it differently. And this third one's like pretty good too. So yeah, I think this is, both these emails were pretty good. It's just small sort of framing things to make sure that you're landing correctly. Okay. So in that vid, it said that even if you are just getting started, you should start doing work and looking for work. What if it affects our rating? I assume you're talking about Upwork. So like, if you're just getting started, should you start taking jobs even if like your ability to deliver on them isn't the highest? That is a good question. I think we all recommend that like you actually spend some time learning and you know, putting together like a portfolio that includes like some pretty polished copy, so that when you start applying for jobs, you're applying for jobs that you have some like an actual real ability to like complete. And so most of your growing pains in that situation are not going to be, oh shit, I have to learn how to write copy in this job. It's going to be, oh, I'm figuring out how to work with a client. And so in those types of situations, I think we wouldn't worry too much about like you getting a bad review if like the actual work that you're delivering is pretty good. So, you know, it's okay to spend a little bit more time practicing if you haven't gotten to a point where you have, you know, some good copy in your portfolio. But once you're at that stage where you can do that pretty consistently, then yes, definitely jump into working. Yeah, I think they could have actually framed that section around just using it as like voice recordings. And maybe it's like, you know, do I really need a video do I really need to have my camera on to like to go through a document? And the answer is like, no. So, yeah. And sorry. Rod, do you think outreaching to people who already have meta ads running is a good idea? Yeah. Actually, the best people to reach out to are people who are already spending money doing advertising, because you know that those are people who are willing to spend money to do advertising. I think it's a lot easier to sell people on either hiring you to do their existing work or to hire you to do additional work if they are already spending money. It's much easier to do that than it is to convince someone who's spending zero money on their marketing and advertising to start spending money, because those people don't have a budget. They don't necessarily understand the value of doing that. And so you have to persuade them to do a couple things to even get your foot in the door. And then you're going to have to do a lot of education around what they should expect, how quickly they're going to see results, what good results even are. So yeah, like absolutely, please reach out to people who already have meta ads running. How the words can evoke different emotions. Do we have to use emotional words or bring up and crystallize desires or do something else? That's a really difficult question. I mean, different words have different nuances, and so they're going to carry different emotional weights to them and flavors to them. So like just the words inherently are going to have emotional connections. Yes. Using emotional words can like help if you're going for a specific emotional framing. But like if you're trying to talk about desires, like you would speak to those desires specifically anyway. And so you're kind of like, the answer is like yes to all of these things. You use emotional words and use words to describe desires as well. Like you have to do both. Rod, I am already an intermediate marketer and done multiple successful marketing strategies. How can I improve my skills daily? I feel bad if I do the same things over and over. That's a really good question. And like, thank you for asking it sincerely. I think a lot of people fall into this space where, you've been doing it for a while, you know how to do a bunch of things. Maybe you're even getting paid to do, those things. And then you reach a point where you're like, okay, well, I'm not really doing anything else. And so I'm happy that I'm where I am, but also I want to be somewhere like higher. And it's at that point you need to start thinking about like, well, what other skills do I need to add? Where do I want to be, and what's like the skill gap between where I am and where I want to be? What do the people who I look up to, what can they do that I can't do? And then start thinking about, well, how do I start learning how to do those things? So let's say you're an intermediate copywriter. You probably know how to do more than that, but just an example for the audience is like, say you're an intermediate copywriter, you know how to write copy for various stages of the funnel. You know how to like formulate how to speak to audiences at different parts of the funnel. But you've never really had to like create a funnel yourself or like think about what a funnel would look like for your client. Maybe you start looking for projects where you have the opportunity to like help your clients conceptualize their funnel and like conceptualize what their offer looks like, so that you start having input and start practicing building funnels yourself. Taking you from like the person who writes the copy for the funnel to the person who creates the funnel itself and then starts fulfilling the copy for the funnel that you've created. That gets you a couple things. One, because you know how to like write the copy, it's a little bit easier to sell the other parts because you don't have to then go find someone else to make the thing you're telling your clients to build. But also because you have the insight of like what the copy should look like, it's a lot easier to like sell that to clients because you can just like describe what the thing needs to be. But it also gets you the experience too of like, okay, well, now I am doing the thing a little bit more holistically. And so you're growing horizontally as well as vertically. And then over time, it's just like, okay, what other skills do I need to stack? How do I combine my skills in new ways? The world is your oyster in this sense, but you do have to get out of just doing the same things that you're always doing. You can upload your copy for review by going to, hold please. Patreon.com/The Copy That Show. And if you sign up, you will get access to some special Discord servers, some special Discord channels where we take submissions for copy to review during sessions just like this one. Cool. And let's see. I already learned offer building, funnels, funnel software, video editing for VSLs. I think video editing takes you to like a slightly different direction. Because then like your skill set is like, it's a useful thing to know how to do just to be clutch, but like ideally you'd be hiring someone else to do that. Right now, it looks like you're looking at how to provide, your skills right now are oriented around providing value for people who need marketing. So if you know how to build an offer, you know how to set up a funnel, you know how to like do emails and email automation. One, I'd ask like, are you also comfortable writing copy for all those things? Because that's like really easy. And then, stuff like lead gen. But also how, like, are you doing those things at scale? Are you like, can you start to work on these same types of projects for bigger clients with bigger, with more money for ad spend? Because as you scale up too, these projects start to look a little bit different. And so just getting more experience doing this for bigger projects can be a good way to grow your skill set. Any tips on overcoming the fear of getting bad reviews on Upwork? One is like, have some general faith in yourself, not just as a copywriter, but as someone who like can talk to clients. I think bad reviews come typically from like misalignments and expectations. And so it's you're delivering something and they're not expecting that thing, or they're expecting something different, well, then they're going to leave a bad review. Most of the time it's not, oh, your copy's that terrible, because they wouldn't hire you if they thought you would not write good copy. So I'd say like have some faith in yourself and your abilities like to navigate those situations. And if you've already gotten really good reviews, then you have the data points to suggest that you're going to do a good job, and you don't yet have data points to suggest that you're going to suck. And so you might just have to get over the imposter syndrome a little bit and just keep doing it to keep validating your confidence. Oh, one more. But I'm worried about screwing that up while working on copywriting projects. I mean, it's no different. Like the copy is not going to be any different than content writing, like realistically speaking. Like a slightly different skill set, but like fundamentally it's the same thing. And the way you navigate those projects is going to be the same with clients. Oh yeah, I'm a freelancer at this place and a CMO. Currently looking for a job. Yeah, ask directly. The worst thing that can happen if you ask for something is that they can say no, but someone telling you no doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, you can. You don't even necessarily need to buy the membership. I haven't been on the platform for a while, so I'm not the most like up to date with like the meta, but you absolutely can get jobs as a beginner. It will probably take you longer. You'll have to apply to more stuff, but you know, it's a numbers game ultimately. Okay. And with that, we've actually gotten through all the copy that we have today. So I think I'm going to go off and write some scripts to make more content for you guys to watch later, so you can see me not live. But yeah, thank you for joining me and Alex and Sean today for another edition of Whetstone Wednesday. These are always a blast, and they are way more fun when people like you guys in chat are showing up to chat with us. So thank you for showing up. Thank you to everyone who submitted their copy. We don't say this enough, but like it does take a certain level of courage to put yourself out there and put your copy in front of the world for assholes like us to like talk about and critique, even if we do try to be nice about it. And so like I think that's a really important step for everybody who's interested in getting into this field, is putting yourself out there whenever you have the opportunity to do so. If you would like for us to critique your copy on another one of these Whetstone Wednesdays, you can do that by going over to patreon.com/thecopythatshow, signing up. You absolutely don't have to. We do have like a free community critique channel on our Discord server, but if you want us to read your copy and give you direct feedback, you can sign up here. You'll get access to some special Discord channels, and you'll be able to submit your copy, ask us some questions with like increased priority, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I will see you guys in the future. And until then, have a great life. Peace.